and it was hot. It was so hot. It was like 95, 100 degrees in the shade. The wind never blew.
And they say that New Orleans has humidity down there, which kind of cools us off. That's bullshit. It was death heat.
Inside the convention center was so stifling hot, people tried to stay outside.
Hot as hell, 100-something degrees.
It's hot.
It was very, very hot at that time. It was 97, 98 degrees.
It was hot.
The heat radiating off of the highway at night was intensely hot.
It's hot as hell.
That was the worst summer. I mean, that heat was ridiculous.
Man, hot as heck in here.
It was beyond Africa heat. If Africa heat was anything like that, like I said before, and I'll say it again, they keep saying go back to Africa. Hell no.
We are in the midst of the warmest stretch of weather so far this year.
Work outside in these temperatures requires extra precaution and, if possible, rescheduling strenuous activities for the early morning or evening. News 4's Hope Winter spoke to state and local contractors with crews who work outside to see how they're handling the heat.
So it's just important to stay hydrated, stay cool, take care of your people.
Local contractors are finding ways for their workers to beat the heat while they're on the job.
We like to spray the roof down with water with a hose. That could gradually drop the temperature probably at least 20 degrees. I've seen it get probably 140 degrees up there sometimes. And it's just, you work around the weather. If it's too hot, you cut out early.
As for the New York State Department of Transportation, they tell us there are many projects that are going on throughout the region. And while they don't stop projects because of the extreme weather, they're finding ways to work around it.
We're telling our employees you have to be cognizant of that. You have to take care of yourself first. And a lot of times it's simple things like just making sure that you have that bottle of water on you, making sure that you're remembering to drink throughout the day, making sure that you go find that shade or go sit in that car, and knowing your body and knowing if you're not feeling well.
The Erie County Commissioner of Health recommends to know these signs of heat exhaustion and heat stroke and how to respond to both.
You have to listen to your body. You know, if your heart's beating fast and you're, you feel like you're getting sweaty, a little dizzy, that's a sign that you got to take a break.
If you're working outside, Dr. Burstein recommends to try to drink 8 ounces of water every 15 to 20 minutes. Try to avoid working during the hottest part of the day. Avoid caffeine, take breaks, and monitor yourself and your coworkers. We'll have these tips and more heat advice on our website, WIVB.com. Reporting in Buffalo, Hope Winter, News 4.
We lose our job, we walk the street all fucking night. How you gonna come home and tell a black woman you ain't got no money? You trying to think of a lie.
The fallout from the Trump administration's widespread cuts to the federal workforce continues to reverberate. In Washington, officials still don't have a clear picture of the scale, and many former federal workers are still struggling to land on their feet. KNKX Murrow News fellow Nate Sanford has more.
This spring, Washington's Employment Security Department held a series of webinars to share resources with federal workers who lost their jobs because of the Trump cuts.
So if you are eligible for Washington Apple Health, you can sign up year-round.
Officials shared PowerPoints with resources on healthcare, job training, and unemployment benefits, while former federal workers typed questions in the chat.
There are people that can support you and really help you through this time of transition, and really the goal is to help you find employment.
There was a lot of confusion in the chat. Some former federal workers weren't sure if they'd be called back to work. Others had lost access to the paperwork needed to apply for unemployment.
It's been a difficult process for a lot of people.
Rebecca Howard lost her job as a research biologist with the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration in February. She was reinstated in March because of a court order. In April, she was fired again.
It's definitely been a struggle because my career kind of evaporated with this.
Howard says funding cuts have made it difficult to find other research jobs. Like many former federal workers, she says she's feeling demoralized.
It seems exceptionally cruel for reasons that I don't think any of us really understand.
State officials still don't know how many federal workers in Washington are out of work, or where they are. Some people took a buyout or got rehired, making it even harder to count.
We just don't have the data.
Donna Mack is the Rapid Response Manager with the state's Employment Department. She says that, unlike in the private sector, the federal government isn't required to report layoffs to the state. Elected officials say they've asked for the numbers, but the administration hasn't provided them. As of late May, more than 1,300 former federal employees had filed for unemployment benefits in Washington. That's a 64% increase over the same time period last year. But the total number whose jobs were cut might be even higher. It doesn't include people who accepted the fork-in-the-road deferred resignation offer in February.
Because those folks are still considered employed.
The figure also doesn't include people like Mark Boltzell.
I was let go, but I pretty quickly found another job, so I never really filed for unemployment.
Boltzell worked as a fishery management specialist with NOAA. He was able to find a temporary job doing similar work with the state. But many of his former colleagues are still looking.
We're thrilled to welcome you to this special virtual job fair designed exclusively for former federal workers here in Washington state.
In April, the state continued its online outreach with a virtual job fair to connect former federal workers to employers in city, state, and county governments. Dennis Jazka, a former fisheries observer at NOAA, attended.
It was good to see who was hiring in the area. But as you can well imagine, I already applied to a lot of those different agencies and stuff. So
Jazka says there isn't much that matches his unique qualifications. He helped analyze fishing vessel data for compliance with federal regulations.
I'm in a way overqualified, but also underqualified.
Annalise Vance Sherman is the chief labor economist with the Employment Security Department. She says Washington's job market has seen a slowdown in recent months.
Certainly, it's a very frustrating situation for anybody who's looking for work right now.
The Employment Security Department doesn't have any more webinars for former federal workers planned. Officials are now pivoting to a new series of webinars, this time aimed at laid-off state employees. Nate Sanford, KNKX News.
The man knot. Race, class, genre, and the dilemmas of black manhood.
Former employee cites racism and retaliation in lawsuit Macon Water Authority. A former employee of the Macon Water Authority alleges in a lawsuit that he was fired in retaliation after complaining about one of the director's behavior toward him, according to federal court records. Thaddeus Clark, a black operator, filed a lawsuit against the authority on May 23 in Bibb County Superior Court, saying he experienced a pattern of racial discrimination and retaliation against him from the director of the MWA. The lawsuit was moved to federal court on Tuesday because of claims that the MWA violated the Americans with Disabilities Act, the Family and Medical Leave Act and the Georgia Whistleblower Act, according to court records. Clark, who had worked at the MWA since 2013, alleges that the director maintained a hostile demeanor toward him, but not toward white employees, the lawsuit states. The director is not being sued. The director was overly critical and scrutinizing of Mr. Clark's work, but she did not similarly monitor, scrutinize, or criticize the work of white employees under her supervision, according to the lawsuit. Clark is seeking a jury trial, declaratory judgment against the authority and damages. Representatives of the MWA have not responded to requests for comment. Director responded aggressively to Clark. Clark began experiencing issues with the director in 2022. With the earliest incident recorded in the lawsuit being when Clark had backed an MWA vehicle into a pole, causing $3,526 in damages, according to the suit. The director issued him a 3-day suspension, according to the suit. However, 9 months later, the suit states the director caused a similar accident in the same truck and $6,000 in damages. She was suspended for 1 day rather than 3 days, as was the suspension Clark was issued. Later, on November 11, 2022, Clark was sent to the authority's facility in Rocky Creek, which had experienced a spill that resulted in wastewater solids overflowing into the plant's effluent discharge system, polluting the Ocmulgee River and its tributaries, according to the lawsuit. Clark argued that the on-duty operator from the previous night could have prevented or mitigated the spill, but he had left work to go home and sleep. The MWA's facilities operate with a permit from the Georgia Environmental Protection Division, which advises them to report spills that reach a specific volume. But even though Rocky Creek's spill from November 2022 had exceeded the minimum reporting requirement, and Clark had sent his higher-ups pictures and videos of the spill, the MWA did not follow proper reporting protocols and failed to report the spill, according to the lawsuit. The director would encourage Clark's white colleagues to ignore smaller, accidental spills in the facility, thereby leaving it for Mr. Clark to clean up on his shift, the lawsuit said. Clark was transferred to the Lower Poplar facility to fill in for another colleague who was on medical leave on August 13, 2023, where he identified several issues that violated law, rules and regulations with the Georgia EPD that would render that facility non-compliant. He circulated an email among the employees at the MWA and drafted a corrective action plan to address them and bring the authority into compliance with its Georgia EPD permit, according to the lawsuit. However, the director's response was aggressive, demeaning and evidenced her hostility toward his protected activity in recording and reporting current and impending permit noncompliance and violations of the EPA law, rules or regulations, the lawsuit said. 2 white colleagues had filed complaints against Clark for watching a sermon on his phone while on break, and the director suspended him for 3 weeks and said he would be terminated for alleged willful neglect of duties. All the while various white employees used MWA vehicles to store loaded firearms, maintain deer feeders and illegally hunt deer on the property adjacent to a MWA plant, the lawsuit said. Clark should plan on retiring before something bad happens. As a result of the complaint from both colleagues, Clark appealed the suspension and formally complained to the president of the MWA about the director's behavior, explaining that he believed the director solicited the complaints from other MWA employees against him in retaliation for his reporting and recording of permit noncompliance and violations of the EPA, the lawsuit said. Clark was given a hearing on September 11, 2023, where he complained that the director was disproportionately disciplining him compared to his white colleagues who have also reported noncompliance. He also mentioned the spill from November 2022, to which the director replied that she had not remembered it, but admitted that sometimes the plant gets away from us and that it was not the first time it happened. Clark's suspension was lifted on December 18, 2023, but he was not compensated for the 3 weeks of work he missed. He met with the Human Resources Department regarding his complaint against the director on December 27, 2023, where he complained to them about the result of his annual review, where the director included several negative and baseless criticisms, which Clark argues were also made in retaliation against him, according to the lawsuit. While the HR members reassured him that his complaint was being investigated, one of them mentioned to him that if she were Clark, she would plan on retiring before something unfortunate happens, the lawsuit said. What led up to his termination? Clark was working with 3 white colleagues and 2 white contractors on a pump installation on April 4, 2024, and when one of the technicians inspected the pump and turned it on, he informed Clark that it was fine to keep running. Several hours later, the director told him to work at a different section of the facility, far away from the pump, according to the lawsuit. The pump failed that evening, the lawsuit said, and upon further inspection, the pump's intake valve had been closed, causing it to overheat and burn out, the lawsuit said. Immediately, Clark began to worry that he would be blamed by the director for the pump failure, even though 5 other white colleagues worked on the installation, according to the suit. A little over a month later, Clark submitted a request to his director for temporary medical leave for a surgery on his disabling foot conditions that significantly limited his mobility. Around that same time, he asked the HR department for the status of his complaint and reminded them of the retaliation from the director. He was terminated on June 7, 2024, 4 days after his last complaint about retaliation was made and less than 2 weeks after requesting temporary leave for surgery, according to the lawsuit. Though the reason for his termination was due to the destruction of the pump, none of his white colleagues involved in the pump installation that day were terminated. MWA's actions in discriminating against Mr. Clark because of his disability and refusing to accommodate his disability were committed with deliberate intent to harm Mr. Clark and his federally protected rights, the lawsuit said. Or, alternatively, with reckless disregard for his rights to be free from discrimination because of his disability and to receive reasonable accommodation for his disability. This lawsuit represents one side of the story. The MWA has not filed a legal reply to the accusations as of June 26.
The U.S. needs more air traffic controllers, thousands of them. The crash in January outside of Washington, D.C. of a jet and a military helicopter and the communications outages at Newark's airport brought more attention to the problem. Transportation Secretary Sean Duffy has promised to supercharge the hiring process, but training and certifying those controllers can take years. NPR's Joel Rose visited one school that's trying to get them on the job faster.
Long before they're allowed to talk to real pilots, air traffic control students start with simulators, where giant video screens stand in for the windows of an airport control tower.
Start 68 Heavy Academy Tower, make sure to runway 28 right, runway 28 right, clear to land.
20-year-old Haley Williamson calmly guides a virtual plane for a landing. This simulator is set up to mimic the airport in Oklahoma City, where the Federal Aviation Administration's academy trains future air traffic controllers. But this is not the academy. It's more than 1,000 miles away in Daytona Beach, Florida, on the campus of Embry-Riddle Aeronautical University, where students can train on a range of simulators, just like the ones the FAA uses. Suddenly, two circles on the radar scope flash red, and the computer starts beeping. That's the collision avoidance system, as Williamson explains.
That signals like, hey, they might collide, you need to do something about it. And when you're doing your evaluations, you hate to hear that sound because that's the sound of Professor Rankinen deducting points off of your evaluation. So we try not to hear that sound as much as possible.
The FAA needs all the air traffic controllers it can get. The U.S. is more than 3,000 certified controllers short of full staffing, and the agency's academy in Oklahoma City has limited capacity. This is where colleges and technical schools come in. Embry-Riddle is one of a half-dozen schools that now offer an accelerated training program that mirrors the classes at the FAA Academy.
That shortens that hiring process from years down to weeks or months.
Michael McCormick worked at the FAA for over 30 years. Now he runs the air traffic management program at Embry-Riddle. Until recently, he says it would take 1 to 2 years for Embry-Riddle graduates to get hired as controllers, because they would have to spend a few months at the FAA Academy first, and then wait for their medical and background checks. But these accelerated programs allow students to start those checks before graduation, and if they pass their exams, they can skip the academy altogether.
Now, we can start that process while they're a student early in their academic career. They can then be directly hired to an air traffic control facility.
The first class of 4 students graduated from Embry-Riddle's accelerated training program last month, including Kira Hansen from Bloomington, Indiana. Hansen says she knew absolutely nothing about air traffic control before she took an aptitude test that suggested she would be good at it.
I was like a lot of people and thought it was the people at the airport with the glow sticks that help move the plane. So I looked it up and I was like, oh, this is like kind of cool.
The more Hansen learned about the job, the more she liked it. She knows there is a shortage of air traffic controllers, and that at many facilities they are forced to work mandatory overtime and 6-day weeks. But Hansen isn't worried.
I'm open to the challenge. You know, I don't mind doing the work or the overtime. As someone just getting out of college, it's like, what else do I have going on? You know, working 6 days a week doesn't freak me out because I don't really know what I'd be missing.
These aspiring controllers don't seem intimidated by the stresses of the job either. On the contrary, Haley Williamson says she's impressed by how relaxed the staff seem at the facilities she's visited.
You expect that when you walk in that the stress level is going to be high, and you walk in and these controllers are having conversations and laughing and controlling these airplanes. Once you get into it and you see the community of people that you have, it's really not as stressful as I think a lot of people make it out to be.
This accelerated program means students like Williamson can hopefully join the community of air traffic controllers a year early. That alone won't end the shortage, but it's better than arriving late. Joel Rose, NPR News, Daytona Beach, Florida.
But first, loading and unloading a truck. It's backbreaking, mind-numbing work for humans, and it's a problem that retailers and package delivery companies have been trying to solve for their employees for literal years. Now, thanks to advances in AI, robots are able to offer assistance in this particular job, as WSJ reporter Esther Fung has been writing about. So, Esther, you call this the holy grail of warehouse logistics. Why has it taken so long to develop a robot to do what seems like such a basic task?
Yes, it has taken this long, and it's so difficult because of the variety of packages. They could be small packages, they could be big ones, they could be round ones, they could also be carrying tires, they could be carrying trampolines. It runs the gamut, and you need a loader or an unloader that can do all of that. This has taken a long time for robotics companies to figure out.
So how does it work, and how quickly could we see this kind of technology rolled out in warehouses?
We're already seeing some of this technology show up in certain warehouses. There's a cottage industry of robotics companies making these robots. Right now, these robots can definitely handle packages that are more generic in their dimensions. A lot of these robotics companies now are using the AI models, machine learning algorithms, to figure out what to do when a box comes in that has different dimensions, different weights, different center of gravity. They learn from previous loading experience. Okay, this box should go in this spot versus that spot. You want the heavier boxes at the bottom versus at the top because you don't want things to topple over during transit. Unloading is easier, but the machines also have to learn when they scan a trailer full of boxes, they would also have to pick these boxes out, place them on the conveyor belt, and do it in such a way that it doesn't damage the box or the contents inside.
But there is a weight limit. I think you write it's about 50 pounds.
Yes. Boston Dynamics, they have this stretch robot, and there's a weight limit of 50 pounds. It can definitely unload many, many boxes, but there are still certain items that it has trouble picking up, like really thin pizza-size boxes where you have to pick it up from the side, and it still can't pick up bags. These machines also need to learn how to pick up boxes that they drop on the ground. So there's so much that the machine has to learn how to do.
Is this sort of the last frontier of automating warehouses? I mean, are we at the point now where a warehouse can be almost fully automated at this point?
That's what some folks believe, that yes, we are really close to that point. Like all the big companies are now already experimenting with these robots. At this point, when I talk to human loaders and unloaders and those people who still work in warehouses alongside the robots, they tell me that they are still needed there because there are still definitely lots of incidents that could happen where human intervention is needed.
So it's a big win, potentially, money-saving technological advancement for companies like FedEx and UPS, and we can see then why companies are in favor of it. But I'm wondering how the workers themselves feel about robots replacing their jobs.
I've spoken to a few loaders and unloaders, and it is a tough job. There's a lot of backbending work. Somebody was telling me they're always covered in bruises, and in the summer he feels like a rotisserie chicken cooking in a metal trailer. Some of them told me that they feel that they would be working alongside these robots, fixing any jams that could happen. And then there are others who have told me that they are worried about their jobs even without the specter of robots. There could be industry consolidation, facility consolidation, cost cutting, and robots, one of them said, it's just another factor in the mix. And so it's a catch-22. On one hand, you want to keep your job, and they're really hoping that the companies would still train them in managing these robots.
That was Esther Fung, a reporter who covers package shipping companies and logistics for the Wall Street Journal. Ever gotten a job recruitment email that seems just too good to be true? Well, lately, the finest minds in artificial intelligence have been receiving emails and WhatsApp messages from a sender named Mark Zuckerberg. This time, though, it really is the Meta chief executive penning those letters as he tries to address an AI crisis at the social media giant. Technology reporter Megan Bobrowski has been writing about this for the Journal. Megan, why is Zuckerberg going to these extraordinary lengths himself?
Meta released some of its latest models in April, and the models were generally not well received by the AI community, and people thought that Meta was falling behind in the AI race. And we reported that they actually then further delayed one of the biggest models. So Meta right now is just in a time where they're trying to catch up to the rest of the industry.
It's one thing for the company to go after bigwigs that it wants to attract and bring on board, but it's another for the CEO of this caliber, Mark Zuckerberg, to go after them directly. And as you write, a lot of times these people don't even believe that it's a legitimate, authentic email from Mark Zuckerberg himself. So why is he the one who's fronting all of this?
That shows how important this is to him, right? Like how existential AI is to the company, at least in Mark Zuckerberg's eyes. He views this as one of the most important things that his company needs to be focusing on right now. And so he wants to have the top talent who can get him there, who can get Meta to be one of the biggest, best players in the space. And the way that he's trying to do that is by offering people $100 million pay packages and personally reaching out to them himself.
And who is he going after?
So he's gone after a lot of different people. The one that we already know about is Alexander Wang, who is the CEO of Scale, who is joining Meta. He's also in talks with Nat Friedman, the former GitHub CEO, and Daniel Gross, who is the CEO of a new AI startup. He's also gone after a lot of people at OpenAI, some of the OpenAI co-founders and the co-creator of OpenAI's video generator. And, it's not only Meta who is throwing lots of money at this. In some of these cases where Meta was giving offers to people from OpenAI, OpenAI was countering with bigger offers and saying, please stay, and here's how we're going to make it worth your while.
But some people are hesitant to accept the offers your reporting shows. What's the reason that some of them have given for being hesitant or even walking away from the offer?
Some of those people who we spoke to for the story said that they were not clear on what the vision was, what Mark Zuckerberg is trying to do with this new team. Meta has gone through a series of restructurings and employee turnover the past few years. So what they've told us is that they're concerned about what the actual plan is beyond just let's hire a bunch of really great, talented people.
And just to frame this for our listeners who may not have been following what's been happening at Meta, what is this superintelligence lab that Mark Zuckerberg really wants to create? And what will it take for him to develop what it is that he wants to achieve?
That's a question that I'm asking people as well, is what exactly is this team going to do? What are they going to be tasked with? Meta already has a series of teams that work on different things within AI. And it's not entirely clear from the people that we've spoken with what exactly they're trying to do with this team and where they fit into the current structure at Meta. Superintelligence is, just as a definition, it's intelligence that is smarter than humans and getting AI to be smarter than humans. And so that's a goal that some of these AI labs have. And it's a goal that Zuckerberg has now said Meta has as well, is he wants to create these AI agents and these AI models that are smarter than humans. But we don't yet know how exactly they plan to do this.
That was Megan Bobrowski, a technology reporter who covers Meta for the Wall Street Journal.
Make the robots smarter than the people. I had to think about that for a little bit. Perhaps maybe we all should ponder on that for a second. Anyway, that and I guess before we get into it, if we have any C.O.W.S listeners, first time or a long time, if you got one of these $100 million offer packages from Mr. Zuckerberg, they really, think you got a lot to offer in terms of AI and maybe getting some of these super intelligent bots that'll be way more intelligent than the likes of Gus T, although that's not saying a whole lot. If you got one of those offers, oh man, we've been best buds forever. You are my favorite black sister, my favorite black brother. We need to hang out, kick it, something. If you got $100 million offer, surely you can come kick it in Seattle for a little bit. This is, tech empire up here too, Jeff Bezos and all the rest of it, Boeing and all that good stuff. So come on, we'll get it's summertime too. We can really do it up in Seattle, man. We'll get some coffee or tea rather. We'll go look at Puget Sound. It'll be amazing. $100 million. You can let me get a few nickels, of course. Something constructive, right? Not wasting time and such, but something constructive. Buffalo trial, that would be constructive. Wow. Just you could even just tell us what is in the $100 million offer. What does that look like? Because I don't even know what the $10 offer looks like. So $100 million. Wow. If we got any folks who got such an offer, let us know. Wow, you are doing it right. Maybe getting us a little bit closer to replacing white supremacy with justice. Gus T, again, not even worth a $10 offer. And for another broadcast, it has been such a long time I think at least a month since we've had Neutralizing Workplace Racism, although we have done a number of programs on Thursday specifically since our last Neutralizing Workplace Racism, just not about labor and the job. And I was even reminded it wasn't just me going off to Wisconsin and covering the Sade Robinson murder trial. That was some of our Thursdays right there, being in court. But even before that, it was the film festival that cranked up, I believe, if memory serves, that got cranked up on a Friday. And so we missed at least one Thursday. I think that was actually our last Neutralizing Workplace Racism, was the day before the film festival kicked off official. And then I was off with that. So that was because of one missed Thursday and then the trial. So it has been a minute for folks who normally hang out for Thursdays to talk about the job. Hopefully you have kept notes over the last month or so for different problems, triumphs. Let's go high. Maybe we had some people who figured out some amazing and constructive things to say in our absence. Do this, say this, don't do this, don't say this, and you get that promotion. Or they cease calling you names in the workplace, or whatever it is that you're trying to stop from happening, or correct things that you're trying to make happen, problems getting solved. Hopefully we'll have lots of folks who have triumphs where they figured out some great codification over the past few weeks, and now they can share. Our date today, Thursday, June 26, 2025. So I have been told. This broadcast is not for spectators, certainly since we have not had this specific broadcast for so long. Folks should be ready to roll, sharing what has been happening on the job. The number 720-716-7300, the code 564-943 pound. Press star 61 if you would like to participate. The number again, 720-716-7300, the code 564-943 pound. Press star 61 if you would like to participate. I think the last month is probably the most time that I have not really heard conversation about the workplace, mostly because it's been about Sade C. Robinson and court. That was such a dominant theme while I was in Milwaukee. The only creep of the workplace that I can recall was shiftless, no-count black males not getting jobs. In fact, that was the way they started the segment. They were talking to one of the privileged black males in Milwaukee about the hellhole in the southeast part of the state of Wisconsin, and they started the program off. They said being a black male in Milwaukee, you find yourself frequently underemployed, over incarcerated. That's how they started, by our privileged black brothers. They didn't say black people. They didn't say that the black queers and black transgender, they didn't say all that. They didn't say that the black sisters, they didn't say all that. They said just Leroy, Jamal, Devontae, just the brothers, over incarcerated, underemployed. That's the same program where they said black males graduate from Milwaukee public schools at 35%. They didn't say all the black and brown people, just black dudes. black male privilege. Anyway, I don't think they came up with that concept in Milwaukee, or whoever came up with that concept. I seriously doubt they have ever been to Milwaukee. Anyway, back to neutralizing workplace racism. Long absence. News clips at the beginning per usual. Now, they're not having this in Seattle. Our current temperature, Pacific Northwest, 65 degrees Fahrenheit, super cloudy, was raining right when we first started off live, but now, 30 minutes in, looks like the rain has subsided, maybe. Seattle has a lot of weather. Technically this is summertime, so, but Seattle has a lot of weather during the winter, autumn, I guess sometimes in the summer too, where it might not be raining, but it looks like it either just finished raining, which it did, or is about to start raining in the next 5 minutes. That's kind of how it looks for a good 6 months out of the year. Generally, it doesn't look like this in the summertime, but sometimes it even lingers, into July. Any hoodles. And they do say summer does not start official in Seattle until July 4. So this would be one of the reasons they say that. Today's high, 65. Now, the reports that we started out with, heat wave in many areas. I said I did get lucky when I left Wisconsin. It was headed right towards that heat wave the day that I left. I think it was right at 90 degrees, which I can tolerate, but ooh-wee, it started to hit triple digits. I think the day after I departed, it started to be 100 degrees, and oh man, the heat index and all that, like woof. And Wisconsin is one of those areas like Seattle where they don't get all that high heat frequently, so they really struggle dealing with triple digits, and oh my God, we're about to die. What's going on? I'm so glad I missed all of that. For the folks who have to be out working, calling it the heat dome, because I remember we had that here in Seattle not too long ago. I got back to Seattle. Thankfully, I checked. We didn't have none of that here. We had our same old typical 70 degrees, 60 degrees, 65, like right on. You don't need AC here, you need heat. So for the people who have to work in those conditions, now you heard them say, hey, might have to make adjustments. Maybe we come in and work a little bit earlier. Maybe we have to work a little bit later. Maybe you have to make those suggestions. You prioritize your health and safety, water breaks, heat breaks. And I've been saying this before. If you're in places like Wisconsin or Washington State or other areas where, hey, we don't really have all this triple digit heat and stuff like that, well, we do now. Climate change. You don't have to say climate change because that upsets a lot of people and they say they don't agree, and that's a lie. You don't need to get in all that. At the end of the day, we don't have no debate. If that thermometer says 99 degrees, we need to make some precautions. Iced water. Maybe we can get smoothies with no sugar added or whatever, but at minimum, iced water, water breaks, shade breaks. Make sure that people know all of the symptoms for heat stroke, heat exhaustion, all of that. If you have some, and I know even for the post office, they had switched the schedule to have people doing deliveries earlier in the day or later in the day so that they're not out in peak heat hours. Now, again, you might have a job where they are receptive to that. You might have a job where they are not. But I do know people die on some of these jobs because of heat. I had just mentioned postal carriers. They have had black males out delivering mail, places like Texas and whatnot, where it gets up to 100 degrees, and they have died being out there. If you do any sort of delivery work or landscaping, anything, you got to be outside. Traffic control. You got to be out there on that hot pavement, middle of the day, on your feet, hours at a time. And matter of fact, even people that do cooking, where you're inside, where they may have air conditioning in the facility, but because you're in the kitchen area where they've got those ovens on and all that excess heat popping out, man, those temperatures can get really high in those kitchen areas. Speak up. Sometimes that is the black self-respect to address safety issues. It might not be that you got to call out somebody for practicing racism on the job. It might just be that you have to call out, hey, it's 99 degrees in here. It's 100 degrees in here. I'm about to pass out. We got to do something. And thermometer, this is not Leroy, just trying to get, gold brick on the job and make up an excuse so I don't have to do no work. This is thermometer say it's 99 degrees in here. We about to pass out and die. We need to do something. And maybe you can even be proactive about all of this. Check the weather report. You work on a job where, hey, the heat impacts us big time. You can say something about all this in advance and suggestions that they were talking about. Even though the caffeine thing kind of shook me a little bit. Maybe I had forgotten, like if it's high heat, you don't want to do all that excess caffeine. You just want to do water. Maybe that's the day you skip the iced coffee and all the rest of it. You just do lots of water. Lots and lots of water. Brother down at the courthouse, he said, I got my gallon water jugs. I just drink lots and lots of water. Prioritize your safety. We heard the report about the laid off federal workers in Washington State. And they said confusion. It's caused so much confusion, chaos. Talked to one of the young ladies, said, well, they started off the year and they got that old Doge program, and Elon, then they came in and said I was fired. I walk of shame, carried my goodies out and everything, and then a few weeks passed and they hired me back, said that Elon and them hadn't done things in a correct manner, violated due process and all that, so they hired me back. And then they waited a few weeks, they done gave me the boot again. I got to do the walk of shame 2 times for the same job in less than 6 months period of time. Come on. Confusion. Say they're going to set up this old lame program. You can come online, help you get resources, transition, so you can get job training, better skills, so you can get a new job. Hope that they don't doge you out of that. Now, even when they get this old tacky program together, which they don't even do a lot of times, so I guess, So they get this program together for these fired workers, some of them twice fired workers, and they say some of the employees, they didn't even get an opportunity to get all the necessary paperwork that they needed so that they could file for unemployment or the job training or whatever they might need in this transition. Man, we have talked about that before. Sometimes, it seems maybe often, race soldiers can be so trifling when they kick you out of a job and you're fired. They don't even give you an opportunity to get, maybe you get to do the walk of shame, maybe you don't, because we heard from some of the people, they didn't even know that they were going to be fired. They showed up for the job and the key fob didn't work. They didn't even get back in the building to do the walk of shame. The walk of shame was me walking to the door and, oh man, my card doesn't work. Dang, I'm stuck with, that was the walk of shame. Much less, I ain't getting none of my documents. I didn't get to clean out my computer. Like, if anything, that just further confirms none of that material is yours. That's not your office. It's not your job. It's certainly not your computer. None of that. That's not your filing cabinet. Every day when you leave, unfortunately, you should think, I might never come to this office again. I might be fired by the time the sun rises. Now, that's a sobering thought. But I mean, hey, that's going to be true for some folks, right? Elon has shown us the way. When you get up to leave, I might be fired. I might never be allowed to enter this building again. That's why I'm not leaving anything here that's mine. When I walk out, if they come into my, Brother Gus, don't even bother swiping your card because that don't work. You can go on and just get on back in your car and turn around. Don't even let the engine get cool because you don't work here no more. We ain't even got no $10 offer for you, so get on out of here. Say $10 offer. See, now that's fine. I can, stay dignified, right? I keep my head held high, and me and Frederick Douglass and Marcus Garvey, you don't stomp on my Negro spirit. I get on in my card, all my Juneteenth pride that I got stored up. Well, I didn't lose nothing because I didn't leave my favorite watch, and I don't have a picture of none of my favorite plants inside or none of my vegan bonanzas. None of that. I didn't leave my diploma up on the wall, my GED certificate. None of that. Everything that I own is with me. The only things that are in the office that I used to be allowed to use, well, they belong to the company. That's not my property anyway. That's not my chair. That's not my computer. That's not my desk. That's not even my picture on the wall. That's their tacky portrait. I don't have nothing in there. I didn't lose nothing. And in fact, I'm not even over here nervous when they get to going and looking through what websites he's been checking out. Let me see if Redneck Confessions on here. I'm not worried about that. I don't use that computer like it's my personal computer. You're not going to find nothing on there but work-related material. Matter of fact, you're about to be super disappointed because I don't even check the newspaper on my work computer because it's not my device. So that's what it would confirm for me. And paperwork, anything that I think is important. This is something that I'm going to need for my personal development, my career development, anything of the sort. That does not get to stay on the company computer. Whatever you need to do, if you need to have your own flash drive that you bring, bam, put it on your flash drive, out of here. You set up a dummy email account, bam, send it to that account, out of here. But there's nothing that I have that's important, worthwhile. I'm just going to trust that I can leave this piece of paper in a filing cabinet at my desk, and I'll have access to this desk forever or for the next 6 months or what have you. Or I'm going to leave this file on their machine. No. Every day, long as we're under a system of white supremacy racism, when you leave, I might never be given access to this facility again. Let me make sure I'm not leaving any of my property, and there's nothing here that I might need moving forward that I don't have. Let's go ahead and get that now. Minimize that confusion. If I do get fired, I want to minimize that as much as possible. Let's see. And being demoralized even can take some of that away. Hey, the system of it, nothing is more demoralizing than the system of white supremacy racism. Nothing is more demoralizing than the system of white supremacy racism. You could be doing brilliant work. You could be the smartest person on your job and still be fired under the system of white supremacy racism. And that's why you don't leave nothing in the office. I could be fired for being the smartest person here as a Negro. The MWA, man, I had to, my black brother Thaddeus Clark, I had to slow down and look at this one a few times. So the MWA, as we heard, Macon Water Authority, this is down in Georgia. So Thaddeus Clark, formerly employed by the Macon Water Authority, and he alleges racism and retaliation as a black male, privileged black male operator, going to court and saying, hey, they violated the Whistleblower Act and all the rest of this. He says he started experiencing problems. He backed a vehicle into a pole and it caused $3,000 worth of damages. And he got a 3-day suspension for doing this. And I talk about safety, super important. Try to be as safe as you can on the job. I have seen this one before, and I think many people have. If you're on a job and you have to drive a company car or any other, like a forklift, anything like that, it is very common for someone have an oops, back into something, run over something, and, a little, what do they call, a fender bender, a little minor scrape, paint job, whatever the case may be, that is very common. I would say pay attention, and pay attention in great detail to these instances. If it's you personally, someone else, pay attention and get as much information as possible. Generally speaking, I would say share, disclose. If something happens, share. From my experience, it often can be way worse if you don't disclose. If there's some sort of accident, even if it's just a minor scratch, it generally works out way better if you disclose as opposed to someone else, and they get to go and snitch on you, because then they'll add on and say that you probably were out raping white women or smuggling crack cocaine or both, and then you tried to steal the vehicle or sell it to your cousin and scratched it in the process, and then that's why you didn't want to share all this. Like, they can add everything to it and all the rest of it, make it way worse. So I would disclose. Now, if they get punitive, like what they did with Mr. Clark here, and you're going to be suspended for 3 days, might be a 3-day suspension without pay, who knows, and all that, because you did, a few $1,000s worth of damages. Okay, you write all that down too, because and all of this I've seen before. So he has his accident, and then a short time later, they say 9 months later, so not even a full calendar year has passed, a white woman comes and causes similar damage to the same vehicle, except this time it's $6,000 worth of damages. So she doubled basically the amount of damage that Mr. Clark did. She only gets 1 day suspension. Due process, that's the sort of thing, and Fuller talked about that. You write all that down. Now, if they come and justify and say, well, now, Mr. Clark, we already told you, you tried to sell the van to your cousin, and you were out raping white women, and we found crack cocaine and fentanyl in the vehicle. That's why you got the 3-day suspension. This white woman, even though she caused double the amount of damage, she wasn't out raping and looting and smuggling crack, so she only got the 1-day suspension. Now, if all that's true, okay, I'll take my 3 days and, stop smuggling crack, I guess. But if it's exactly the same, it won't no crack, won't no raping, crashed vehicle, black dude, $3,000 worth of damages, what was it, $3,200? And then the white woman is $6,000. Why not even the same? You could have given everybody a 1-day suspension and called it a nah. That's not how we do it. It continues. Mr. Clark says that they apparently in November of 2022, there was some sort of, and he wasn't on the job yet, some white person on the job, and they have some sort of spill that's flowing out into the, how do you say it, the Ocmulgee River. There we go. The Ocmulgee River. Ocmulgee River. And so I guess they have their protocol. If you have some sort of spill, hey, we're supposed to be stewards of the planet. What Dr. Cambon call them cesspoolians. Now, as opposed to polluting the river and do the correct thing, nah. What do you say? The white man say, you know what? Yeah. I done worked a full shift. I'm tired. Go home, see what the Falcon's up to. Reminisce about the good old days. Mike Vick. I'm going to go get me a nap. I guess they say we're supposed to promote or report the pollution, but I'm going to let that nigga Clark get to it. And I'm going to go and get this nap. So they come back in and find out that this thing caused all kinds of damage and everything else, and they blame it on the Negro. And wait a minute, they say they had a pattern of messing up, causing spills and accidents and what have you, and that they just, we just blame it on the Negro. Man, this is also one I would like to know now. How many white people versus how many non-white people work for the Macon Water Authority? Is Mr. Clark like the only black person that works here, or do they have like 3 black people that work here? You got all these white people mad. I didn't want Thaddeus working here. No way. Acting like he in charge at the water facility. They're going to retaliate and respond aggressively, be extra punitive with old Mr. Clark. Anytime anything happens, they be aggressive and you suspended. That's a write-up. I've heard all that before. Now, Mr. Clark says that he got in trouble because he was watching a sermon on his phone while on break. And he got suspended for 3 weeks. 3 weeks. And said he would be terminated for alleged willful and neglect of duties. He was on break. Watching a sermon on his phone. I don't even know what to say about that. Like, if he had been on duty or something, I think, yeah, you don't want to be YouTubing it up too much, Netflixing it, because they'll get you in trouble. He was on break. They would have to tell me, like, when you're on break, hey, don't you pull up nothing. You better not, I don't know, Facebook live stream, no TikTok. You put that phone back in your satchel. You do your phone stuff when you get away from the, don't you do no phone looking while you, they would have to tell me that that's the policy. And even in Georgia, watching a sermon, like, man, unless he was watching Reverend Jeremiah Wright, oh, God damn, it had to be something like that. If he's watching a black Baptist sermon or Louis Farrakhan, something like that, he'd have to be watching a sermon of that. And if he's watching your typical Negro Baptist sermon in Georgia, turn the other cheek type thing, who is upset about that? Well-behaved Negroes, right on. That's what we told them to do, right on. Bravo, Mr. Clark. You keep that up, you'll be employed here for a long time. That's what it's supposed to be. Not, I'm on break watching a sermon. That's going to be a 3-week suspension right there. Mr. Thaddeus, genius, sound a little bit like Mr. Fuller. And I say, wait a minute. Time out. Yeah. I'm going to be suspended for watching a religious sermon on my break. You got white employees who are storing firearms in company property, illegally hunting deer on company property, and I'm suspended for watching a sermon on my phone during my break? Do what? And I mean for reals. Like, wait a minute. This sounds like a serious job. Like, I could see maybe if we worked at a brothel or something, it's kind of goofy. Like, this is not really serious. We're not making no serious chemicals or nothing. We're not producing no firearms, nothing explosive. There's no fire potential here. We don't work with children, so we don't have to keep serious records or anything like that. And okay, from time to time, we go out and we do a little illegal buck hunting. Okay, right. This doesn't seem like one of those jobs. Like, you work for the water authority. You all have, like, incidents of pollution and major hazards and all that. This seems like a job where maybe I will keep my firearms at home. Maybe I do my shooting at home, not on the job. Incidentally, I don't know any black person in the universe who could get away. I bring firearms to work and store them on the job in case we need to go do some shooting on my shift. Do what? This is in Georgia, and that's like, shooting and hunting territory for white people and all that, but it's 2025. Do what? Come on, man. I cannot wait till all this goes to court to see how this will happen. I hope, because it sounds like he might have detailed records, Mr. Clark, on the amount of discipline that was given out to he versus his other white colleagues, like the days of suspension, what he was suspended for, what they got away with apparently without getting suspended, not making reports. I can't say enough. It seems like this caused some of the trouble, but the problem The trouble is the system of white supremacy and white people practicing racism. Mr. Clark made reports when things were out of compliance. He said that when they were doing things, when they were having these spills and other problems, anything that seems like it was out of compliance with what the standard protocol says they were supposed to do, manage. This is a water facility. Again, it's supposed to have serious records about all this. Water is important. He would make note of that and he would file reports. I think that is the exact thing that we should do. Anything, and particularly because frequently they will blame the Negro when these problems are discovered or what have you. That was Mr. Clark's fault. He messed that up. Oh, yep, Thaddeus messed that up too. Now, we've been trying to get rid of him for a long time. Go ahead and report. Every time something pops up that's out of compliance, we had a spill here, we had this here, we had this here, make a report. That way there's documentation that, it seems that there was a problem. It was reported June 26, 2025. What was done to correct? And it doesn't have to be reporting to get someone fired. It really can be, this is earnest reporting so that we can get this corrected. I'm reporting, really, the thought process being that perhaps people are not aware that this is a problem. In fact, we are not in compliance the way things are operating, and I just want to make it known so that the most powerful people, generally the most powerful white people who have the ability to get this sort of problem corrected, now that you know, we can all, what they say, all hands on deck, we can get this problem solved. That's the spirit that you're reporting, thinking, hey, we all want to do the correct thing, right? We want to get this problem solved. That's why we're here at work, to solve problems, work together, getting these problems solved. That's the spirit that you report. Now, if they, that sounded like they're upset about you for reporting this, or they don't want to make the corrections. You report that we're not in compliance, and then you come back a week later, a month later, and we're still not in compliance. Now, whoa, what's going on here? Question. But I'm a fan. If any folks, if you have a different viewpoint, if you think that Mr. Clark should not be reported, he said anytime he found something that was out of compliance, he reported. Anybody who thinks that that's not the correct way to proceed, speak up. The number is 720-716-7300. The code 564943 pound. Press star 61 if you would like to participate. But I think that is exactly what should be done. Even if they tell you, stop reporting, we know about all this, shut up and don't say nothing else about it, no problem. I would document that as well. And hopefully I would get that in writing, that they're telling me, don't you say anything else about this ever again. We know about this problem and it's being handled. No problem. I did my job, but I would want that in writing, and I'll put that in my journal. But I think that is the absolute correct thing to do that way, and hope you want it in writing so that there's the record that this problem was happening, at least as of June 26, 2025. Leroy told us about it, and then we did whatever we did with that information. But he did make an alert to all the proper responsible parties, and this is what they did with that information. I think that's the best way to go. Let's see. Got to keep up with that, Mr. Clark, to see how all that goes. I will just say really quick, I already said, if we got any folks, if you got that WhatsApp call or that TikTok or whatever message from Mr. Zuckerberg and you got that $100 million offer, man, speed dial. Let us know, and then come on up to Seattle so you can kick it with Gus T. We can do something fun to celebrate. The school for the air traffic controllers, white people could have set that up like decades ago. We've been told that air traffic controllers, there's been a shortage for like decades, as opposed to complaining, shaming Leroy and talking about school to prison pipeline. It could have been the school to air traffic controller school pipeline like decades ago. Mess around in school if you want to, act like you ain't got no direction and you don't know what you want to do and you want to drop out. Hey, you're going to be in the air traffic controller program, because we need air traffic controllers. And you will get a job. You'll be doing something. It'll be great. You'll be gainfully employed. You can work for the next 20, 30 years, but mess around and act like you ain't got no direction, ain't got no ambition, and I don't know what I want to do, and I like to sit around and play video games. Whoa, you got some video game aptitude. Well, come on and grab a sit down here. We got some video games for you. They could have done that a long time ago. That's not what they want. I will say it again, though. If we got young folks, teens, I guess the same thing. You ain't got no ambition. You don't know what to do with yourself. Hey, air traffic controller school. Get you a job. Maybe do some flying, travel at least around the continental U.S. because they might move you, to different locations depending on where they need you at. But I mean, hey, you ain't got nothing else to do. Make some money, get a skilled job, and hopefully keep some of these planes from falling out of you. You can stick your chest out with pride. Say, man, remember the days they used to have Boeing planes falling out of the air? Lieutenant Leroy is on the job now. Lakeisha is here now to save the day. We ain't got no more of them air traffic controller shortages. Right here. And we don't have no mid-air collisions either. Keisha is well trained. Air traffic controller. The number again, 720-716-7300. The code 564-943 pound. Press star 61 if you would like to participate. We should have lots of folks. What have you been doing the last month in terms of the job? Hopefully we'll have lots of folks who I have been codified and doing it up for the last month and am ready to share constructive things that I have learned and applied on the job. Let's see, our caller, victim should be with us. Let's hear what has been happening on the job.
May I be heard?
Yes, sir.
Greetings, Gus. Thank you for taking my call, and greetings to all the cows, listeners, and the callers. I guess I'll first start off by talking about a couple of reports. The one report that talked about Buffalo, I believe they're experiencing a heat wave. I would just say that I hope victims are taking some time out to get as much water, preferably cold water, to help them out with that. Hopefully they don't have to get it from Tops either, but we'll see. I will say about my I guess the jobs that you brought up about the air traffic controller. I did come across a ad or advertisement about Southwest Airlines. They're hiring for flight attendants. I mean, people can check it out if they want to. I guess I'll talk about what I've been experiencing at Plantation so far. The non-white, non-black female coworker that I got hired with, the one that was crying in the office when she wasn't getting the job or getting the actual work and how to do it properly, she ended up getting another job. This one is a promotion. And all of her work, all 80 of her cases got transferred to me. A few weeks back, I heard on one of the workplace racisms that there was a term for overloading an employee when there are short staffing. I wasn't sure what the term was. I forgot it, but there was a term that was brought up before. Also about my current employment, the suspected racist that I call Sneakerhead, he started talking to me again. And some of the first things he wanted to talk about was that he bought a new house. And it's in a place called Panorama City, located here in Southern California. When I asked him about like how much did he purchase it for, he said about $900,000. I said, okay, well, he said, oh yeah, it's a 3-bedroom, 1,600 square feet. And then all of a sudden he brought up like movies and stuff like that. Like, okay. And one of the movies he brought up was Rocky. And he said, oh, I love that movie. And also I love Interstellar. That's another movie he brought up. Then he asked me, have you seen the new Beverly Hills Cop movie? And I was like, well, that was before my time. And then he tried to inquire about, how old are you? Then, fortunately at that time, his supervisor had called him away to ask some questions to him. Speaking of which, my current supervisor, the red-haired, blue-veined, pale Yeezy wearer, gave my personal information out to the entire department, my personal phone number. I found out because I kept getting these weird calls from different numbers. It turns out that those calls are from different social workers looking to get information. So I promptly emailed her and her supervisor to get this situation corrected. And I'll say lastly, I ended up getting another promotion to a different department. So I won't really have to worry about those new caseloads that I got coming because probably in about a month I'll be in a new department. But that's what's been happening with me so far, Gus, and welcome back and thank you for taking my call.
Promotion. I love it. I love it. Promotion for black people. That's right on. That's what I said. Triumphs. Hopefully we had our time away from workplace racism and we come back and lots of people say, man, I got me a promotion and raise and boy, I got me a bigger office. Like it's been spectacular since, you've been off the air. I've been locked in and focused. I've been waiting to, do some celebrating once we got back on the air. Like, love it. Congratulations. I hope the first of many promotions to come with an obese raise as well. And we can't have all that without a little teaspoon of tackiness. They say he found out that one of his pale white brothers in the workplace gave out his personal phone number, and he said, oh, that's why I've been getting all of these strange calls from folks and I don't recognize and soliciting information. What in the world? Now, I can only say, for non-white people, I'm not sure how much of a defense we have against this because for most jobs, not all, but I would say like 90% of the jobs out there, probably more, you will need your home address, phone number. They're probably going to require that information in order for you to get hired. Generally, they have applications and all that good stuff, and most of the time they're going to have or request your personal information, even social security number, all of that good stuff. So your colleagues probably have or can easily access this information if they want to, especially if they're classified as white. Person in HR is their, homie, wife, whatever. Yeah. So that's just, unfortunate. Mr. Fuller, I think, often said there are no secrets in the system of white supremacy racism. So this would be one. That said, I do not think that is correct for folks to just be going rifling through employee files and, oh, I got Leroy's number here. Anybody? Yeah. He got the hookup, you need some ganja or whatever else, give the what? What? Even if it was something maximum constructive, like he is a master vegan chef, if you have any difficulties getting them asparagus to do right or what have you, hook Leroy up, even that, whoa. I do not just give out my asparagus tips freely, and nor am I interested in everybody calling up my personal number to ask me, all these questions and such. What? It does not get any better than tacky. I guess for giggles, what information were they soliciting? So these odd calls or texts or whatever, how it was coming in, What were they asking for? What did they think that you had the hookup on?
Yes. A small correction. It was my supervisor that ended up releasing this information to the department, and that was an error on her part because they have county issued phones and phone numbers that I have not been given one. So to give out my personal information was a failure on her part. And the information that they were trying to inquire from me, I work with social workers when it comes to the foster care. So they were trying to get certain information about payments and stuff like that.
Oh, okay. Okay. Well, at least it was work-related information, but still, I mean, that's important. What he said, like, that's what I would think. Like, if it's really important and you have to do all this time on the phone, I've seen lots of jobs, even jobs that are not glamorous at all. They will give you a phone. It's 2025. Like, here you go, Leroy. Bang. Make sure you keep it turned on. Don't use it for no drug sales. But here you go. Keep it on. All the. Give me a phone. I'm gonna give out my personal. No, come on. Unless y'all gonna pay the bill. The white man comes to brag about his $900,000 home purchase. What does it mean to be white? Now, that's the sort of thing I would entertain as opposed to a whole lot of nonsense and getting in my personal business and who you dating this week and where'd you go to high school, all that old nonsense. Oh, you got a house? Where is your house at? Let's see if it's in a racially restricted region. And we just go down the line. How did you get all the financing? Oh, wow. How long were you looking? Wow, that was your first choice? Like, man, we'll cut a fool now. I'm not going to miss out on my work, but I'm saying that's, more constructive, even for counter-racist purposes. I would much rather hear about that than talking about nonsense and or asking me foolish questions trying to pry into my business. Got his $900,000 home, then he pivoted to how much he loves Rocky. Reading more important than watching television, but I mean, really. I don't know how old this white fella is, but I mean, dang. You're talking about a movie that came out over 50 years ago? Sylvester Stallone, he barely with us, man. Are you serious? Carl Weathers? Are you serious? 50 years ago? Some made-up film because white people are mad about Muhammad Ali being heavyweight champions. They got to fabricate some Rocky. Are you serious? It's nigh on 2030 and you talk about Rocky? Come on. Let's move. I don't even want to hear about Creed, man. Let's move forward. Why are you talking about that in the work that in Interstellar? Ooh. White people talk about all their racist cinema. He probably got the director's cut. I go home and go to my $1 million house and watch Rocky every day. I invite the work crew, come over and we watch Rocky. Ooh, that Sly Stone is something. Beat that old Carl Weathers. Come on. I remember where he said he said they had the female in the office where she was crying about whatever, and then she did get the job. So I guess it did work out. But so then they dumped. I think he said 80 cases. They dumped all of her work on him. Dang. Do I get like a secretary or assistant? Do I get a raise? How retract? Forget all that. The assistant would be great too, but do I get a raise? I guess they say you did get the promotion, so maybe promotion doesn't necessarily say raise though. But dang, so you dump all that. I do remember us talking about, because we were talking about mission creep, workplace creep, where they start adding on all this other, like you started out and you had, task A, B, C. And then later on, now we get A, B, D, Q, F, P, Z. Like, whoa. And same thing. I didn't get a raise and I didn't get an assistant or anybody to come, help with all this work. I do remember us recently just talking about that, but I think there may have been even another term we were talking about, more specifically what he said, where you just, to overwhelm that person, where you know they've already, these are the duties they're supposed to have, but we're just going to keep adding on and adding on. And they're, oh my Lord, look at, we done just overwhelmed poorly. Like, yeah, I think there is a term specifically, but that is just, maybe I lost it in Milwaukee. Let's see. Yeah, God, with the Rocky such still with Sylvester Stallone. Did I miss anything? Did we cover? Did you have anything else, sir?
No, that was everything, Gus. But I'll just add, his ringtone for his phone is the Rocky thing.
Come on. Come on. Eye of the Tiger. It's 50 years, man. It's 50 years, man. I can't even. And again, all of that fictitious, why white people mad about Muhammad Ali being heavyweight champion. You got Joe Frazier. They're going to set all this in Philadelphia. You got Joe. We got a heavyweight champion in Philadelphia. Joe Frazier. They give him a cameo. They have Joe Frazier come out for 5 seconds. We do actually have the real Philadelphia heavyweight champion, who is not the Italian Stallion, but Joe Frazier. Get out of here, Joe. Get out of here. Rocky. Like, wait a minute. Joe is actually, get out of here, Joe. Don't talk to Joe Frazier. Get out of here. I beat Muhammad. Get out of here, Joe. Don't talk to you neither. Get out of here, Negro. Rocky, isn't that Rocky? Yeah. We miss you, Joe. Smoking Joe Frazier. Didn't make no movies about him. Let's see. The number, 720-716-7300. The code 564-943 pound. Press star 61 if you would like to participate. He didn't even say Creed. You know, like Ryan Coogler, he doesn't make great film. You know, like Michael B. Jordan. Yeah. The email, untiljustice@gmail.com. Let's see. We'll nab an email as well. Again, not for spectators. Not been here for a month, so folks, perhaps missing a little bit of workplace racism and forum place where you can chat about what white people and even non-constructive contact we have with other non-white people on the job, since that comes up so frequently. Let's see. Email number 1. Let's see. Hi, Gus. Welcome back, and thank you for your coverage of the Sade Robinson murder case. Glad I was able to be there front and center. I learned a lot. Woo! Sobriety would be best. They should have that like tattooed on people's forehead in Milwaukee and Wisconsin, like in general. Like, woo! Sobriety. They should be going to kindergarten since they let you drink at 14. Like, they should go to the kindergartens and elementary. Sobriety would be best. And if you see Brett Favre, run. I've been wondering about young academic, and hope he is doing better. Me too. So much to report on. Shauna left the team about 3 weeks ago. That's the non-white female victim who had been, I guess, leader, however, whatever term they use, but non-white victim female. Not our best friend. Good riddance. Organizing drinks for people who leave a job is common practice. What sobriety would be? Organizing drinks for people who leave a job is common practice, but not compulsory, although you will stand out if you do not attend. Well, let me stand out a little bit more. If Shauna organized drinks, I wasn't invited. Shame. I still see her around the office, but I don't need to engage with her, which is great. I did not travel over 200 miles for the team get-together. Shauna's leaving due organized by Shelley. Bravo. Sometimes white people and other non-white people even, they can come and, well, I was going to say metaphor, but sometimes not really. They will come and put an arm bar on you and look, You are going to the team meeting. We put it together. I don't care if it's 500 miles. You are. They'll come. Boy, they will get aggressive about that thing. So, hey, if you've already told them, I'm not going. No. What they say, you stand on your square. I'm not going. They pressured me to go right up to the day before. Right-wing Ashley sent me a direct message asking if I was going, which I believe she was instructed to do. I ignored her message. She is not my manager and junior to me, so has no business questioning me about anything, least of all things that do not concern her. She does this a lot. I suspect she probably was ordered to do so. Of course, I was the topic of discussion. Zoe let slip that things I'd said to right-wing Ashley were talked about. Who cares? At 4 p.m. on the day of the visit, right-wing Ashley, who ends her workday at 3:30 p.m., sent me a message about work. It seems the visit ended at 3 p.m., so Shelley, who also ends her workday at 3:30 p.m., could collect her son from school. Shauna traveled 200 miles for a visit that started at 10 a.m. to travel back another 200 miles a few hours later. What they say? VGQ. And real talk, that is exactly the type of thing that I point out. I'm not talking about Shauna per se, but white people. White people are to blame. Even for this non-white person going through all that, that is exactly the type of thing that I point out. White people have the gall, especially where I'm at. They have the audacity. They will come out and say, we are about the environment. Let's get rid of pollution. We are about being green, and let's cut down our footprint, right? They have that as a metaphor, so let's not create as much trash. Let's reduce, reuse, recycle. They got all these lame and tacky phrasings and such. Hey. Part of that is supposed to include, let's cut out some of this unnecessary travel. We don't need these cars and planes running up and down the road all day long, every day, unnecessarily. That was a big part of what was talked about. That would save some of the petrol, right? That means we don't need to be doing these unnecessary 200-mile get-togethers, right? Come on. We got the Zoom now, right? We could wait and consolidate. Maybe instead of just doing these all random every month, every other week or whatever, maybe we do one of these a year. We really do it, and we can pack a whole lot. So instead of getting together because one person is leaving, so all the people that are leaving in 2025, we do it at the end of the year. All those people, we get together for a big shebang. We do it in the middle of the year or whatever it is, but come on. Wasting time and energy. White people, racists, love to do that, especially non-white people's time and energy. I mentioned right-wing Ashley attended a funeral for the office building that was closed to save costs. I remember that. One of the callers said he loves architecture, so could identify with her. That lazy heifer doesn't love architecture, and I doubt the other mourners do. It's white defiance. Right-wing Ashley is only required to go into the office once or twice a month due to her neurodivergence, and finds excuses to either not go in or leave early. Why would she want to be part of a campaign to save a building she rarely went into and draw unnecessary attention to herself? Well, no way. She is not buying that right-wing Ashley is just a connoisseur of beautiful buildings and structure. That wench is lazy, and she just finds any reason not to go to where it seems like she works with a lot of people who they have kind of the same MO, like any reason at all that we can find not to go to work. I overslept. Or if I do go to work, I'm going to show you where my spirit is at because I'm still in my pajamas. Like, I might be here physically halfway because I'm halfway asleep too. But in spirit, I'm still in the bed. Like, I'm not. Woo! I'm sorry. Much obliged. Glad to hear. Woo! Gotta love Cheetos. Much obliged for the update. Maybe we'll get young academic in for workplace racism updates over the next few weeks as we kind of get back on schedule with everything. But the laziness of white people cannot. They will load up, because she said there were white people who were loading up. We will talk and burn midnight oil and organize for the team get together, which has nothing to do with our assignments and what we're paid to do. But we will get all rowdy about that. Hey, can we actually get some? Whoa. I'm not coming into work tomorrow. They're having a funeral. They're about to knock down the old building, and I just want to go pay my respects. And I know I didn't spend a lot of time there, but you know, it's pretty well done building, and you know what I mean. I think it's the right thing to do. So, in fact, my nerves are going to be so rattled because funerals, they, don't sit well with me. I might have to take off the entire next week just to get my jangled nerves back together so that I can focus. I'll still be in mourning with the building and all the pleasant times we had. But, if you give me after July 4th, oh, and then we got the holiday. So after July 4th, I'm going to be right as rain and, woo, ready to go. Man. What does it mean to be white? And then they come back and tell you if you are Negro, you have to work twice as hard to get half as far. And he said, this heifer, she doesn't even work at all. We ain't even talking about the white woman who spent the petty cash, but she doesn't even work at all. What do you mean work twice as hard to get, if I showed up to work at all, I beat her like exponentially, not twice as hard. I worked like 100 times harder because she didn't even come to work. Come on. The email untiljustice@gmail.com. The number 720-716-7300. The code 564943 pound. Press star 61 if you would like to participate. Woo. I guess one thing folks should also consider when Gus T does trial coverage, or I guess any sort of travel that requires a disruption in broadcast schedule, you should think now, was it worth it, the Sade Robinson coverage? Like, we could have had workplace racism, for the past couple of months. And even the film festival, because I think that did cause a miss of at least 1 week of workplace racism, and certainly delayed the book club, which will be back tomorrow, normal time. New book, 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Pacific. But that should be considered as well. Like, you could have sat your hind parts in Seattle the whole time and watched the Sade Robinson trial and still did workplace racism, or at least not missed as many because you wouldn't have had to travel, as opposed to going out to Wisconsin for all that time and disruption and 2-hour time difference. That, should be thought about as well. Anywho, make sure I get in one other report. We are not for spectators, so even if folks are a little bit, I guess, haven't had as much recent practice, hadn't that much change. So not for spectators. If you have commentary to share, triumphs or difficulties, let us know. No spectating. But this report out in Cleveland, I just thought this was important. The way we conduct ourselves and how we talk on the job. And I guess even now, really, everybody should be talking as though everything you say is being recorded. It's going to be on YouTube maybe. There's going to be a transcript publicly available in about 200 different languages, and this will all be public for about the next 300 years. On TikTok too. That's the way that we should speak at this point, 2025, in the workplace. Not and thinking that you can just whisper, well, this is just me talking to Freddie over here, and that's it. Like, please. Even if you're in a vehicle, you should think they probably got some sort of recording mechanism, Alexa's installed in the car someplace, or whatever. You should not be talking as though this is a private conversation in the workplace, maybe anywhere. This report from Cleveland.com, Middleburg Heights call center to pay $85,000 in racial discrimination settlement. The company that owns a Middleburg Heights call center agreed to pay $85,000 to settle accusations that a fired black woman by falsely claiming she cursed during a call. Dial America, a New Jersey-based company, agreed to settle the case. The U.S. Equal Employment Opportunity Commission, EEOC, brought on behalf of the fired worker, Denisha Williams. The company, which has since changed its name to Aucera, I think that is, A-U-C-E-R-A, Aucera, right, I think, will pay Williams $13K in back pay, $2,000 in interest, and $69K in damages. U.S. District Judge Solomon Oliver signed off on the settlement Tuesday. The company did not admit any liability as part of the agreement. That's standard operating procedure. We didn't do nothing wrong. We just going to give this nigga woman her money and move to the future. A spokesman said in a statement that the company vigorously denies any allegation that the company treated any of its employees in any unlawful manner. Dial America is an EEOC employer committed to having a diverse and inclusive workforce and to advocating for the respect and dignity of all employees. Yeah. EEOC attorneys wrote in the lawsuit that Williams consistently got good performance reviews after she was hired in November 2022 at the Middleburg Heights Center. Weeks later, on December 2nd, she was told she was being fired for using profanity during a call, the complaint said. She challenged the firing and claimed discrimination, according to the EEOC. The 30-second call was recorded, and company officials who listened to it determined that the person on the other end of the call, not Williams, used profanity, according to the complaint. Dial America officially fired her on December 12. The company fired her because she was black, not over the phone call, the EEOC said in a statement. Wow. That is wow. Dang. I mean, make it plain. The company fired her because she was black. Make it plain. Make it plain. As part of the agreement, Dial America must update its discrimination and retaliation policies, change its complaint process and training, and face audits. Well, I can only say, like I said, hey, everybody should be speaking now as though everything you say in a workplace is being recorded, because it probably is. Might have video too, transcript and everything. 2, these Dial America or whatever, their new name is going to be Aucera and all this. I'm sure that they have had to review at this juncture probably, I'm going to say at least hundreds of hours of recordings of phone conversations and training people and listening to these phone calls. I'm sure they've had hundreds of hours, if not thousands of hours of these conversations. How in the world are you so sloppy, racist, according to the EEOC conclusion, that you can't listen and really be defended? What did they say? Be discriminating. Now, who actually said the vulgar words here? Let's take a listen. They got headphones. They can go in and do all sorts of digital manipulation with the audio to really suss it out. Who cursed? And in fact, use that as training, right? Because that happens. You get folks who work in customer service. I know we got plenty of them. You get folks who call in and they get vulgar and profane on the phone all the time. We can use this for training. What do you do when someone calls in and they start cursing? Do you curse them out back? And, coon, who do you think you talking to? This Denisha. You don't talk to her. She didn't do none of that. I think person at the courthouse, he told us, hey, you got folks and they call in and they're being nasty and rude. We don't have to serve them. Ma'am, sir, you're not going to be able to talk to me like that and have me help you. You're going to have to get your behavior together. I'll talk to you later. Goodbye. You can do that. And I know for a number of jobs, you can do that. They start being vile, nasty to you on the phone, using them 4-letter words. Oh. We don't speak like that on the phone. I'll have to talk to you later. Goodbye. You can do that. And that might have been what she did, because they said it was a short conversation. But certainly, how does it get to be, oh, no, Denisha, you out of here. We don't let you curse. And I'm like, whoa, I didn't curse it. Yeah, nah. Yes, you did. You out of here. Beat it. Love it. that she filed, reported that she didn't. One, she maintained her composure. If she had violated, that's what I say is rule number one for counter racism in the workplace anyway. If Miss Williams had gotten rowdy and got ready, who you F-bombing at, and I'll F-bomb you, and she wouldn't have gotten no $80,000. Composure. I said, tell that to your children. Repeat that to yourself. I expect exactly this sort of thing to happen. I expect that. I expect we're in a system of white supremacy racism. It wouldn't surprise me if my supervisor came in here and, you know, Count Negra, Denisha, you know you're lazy and shiftless and we shouldn't have hired you anyway. I really shouldn't be that surprised if that sort of thing happens. I whip out my pen or my phone. Sir, ma'am, can you repeat that? Let me make sure I write that down. Boom, boom, boom. Get that in my notes. And then I wouldn't even be surprised if they come back and accuse me of saying something vulgar, that I insulted the supervisor that day. Hopefully we got a recording of all this. Video too. Alexa hopefully was operating. But composure. You expect these things to happen because we're in a system of white supremacy racism. You expect people to call in, be nasty, rude, vulgar, and then everything that happened here, them to turn around and blame it on you. You were the one that was being nasty and rude. And that was, you know, a Catholic priest who was on the phone, who was calling in just to get correct information about helping out with a youth program this summer, and you were nasty and rude and called them, used all kinds of four-letter words in talking to them. Like, what? What is going on? Hey, system of white supremacy racism. Composure. A+ for Miss Williams. Composure. I don't know if she listens to the cows or not, but I say that all the time. Composure. Now you can invest well with your $100,000. And again, we got any folks who got that $100 million job offer from Mark Zuckerberg? Come out to Seattle. We'll have a good time. Go out and get some tea. See some of the scenery, man. Man, they got the drone 4th of July fireworks show, man. Space Needle, you haven't seen nothing like it. Come out here and break bread. Gus T. Let's see, folks who have other observations from the workplace, since we have not been here for a month, basically. Our folks out in South Carolina, I bet O Dimples, she about to get a job as an air traffic controller now. Like, man, she got to be about 5-10 years old by now. Non-Clemson dad, Mama C with us as well.
Hello, can I be heard?
Yes, sir.
Oh, yeah. Hope everyone is doing okay. Welcome back, Gus. I imagine listeners like myself are very appreciative to have you back, especially doing workplace racism. I do find these broadcasts to be very helpful. As for O Dimple's job, she probably had it before she was even born, as she does accompany on us when we're teaching our dance lessons. She is our marketing director. All right, so a couple of things to report. So this is from a month ago. My manager came to my cubicle to tell me that the engineering administrator wanted me to go see her. I headed to her office. She begins by telling me how great I interviewed for the director position. Afterwards, she informed me that they went with someone else who they felt would be a better fit for the team. But she and the panel were very impressed with my interview. Also, she liked my ideas for improving the image of the department with more public-facing map tools, and that I should bring these ideas to the new director. She also said that people have a hard time reading me and wonder how I'd respond to not getting the job. After she asked how my wife and daughter are doing, Personally, I would have preferred a rejection email. It has happened again. My computer screen went out. I called into the IT department about the issue. Turns out that the graphics card were not updated, and that's why my computer screen went out. It has now been updated, and my computer is working just fine, and even faster now. Let's see. I was given advice by the former director that was recently fired and my friend to request a career development plan. I called a meeting with my manager and assistant engineering administrator about a raise and mentorship advice on what it takes to get to become a manager and director. The raise was flat out denied. This is interesting because through the last year or so, the engineering administrator said that as I continue to give more engineering projects, she would take a look at my current job description in relationship to the job responsibilities. And of course, I'll continue to get more of those projects here and there. And of course, I'll continue to do my best and, work towards, getting better at my job, but also, learning new things outside of my job as well, too. Outside of that now, but then they reiterated that I interviewed well for the director position. She advised me to continue working to build myself by working with other people throughout the state, and of course, they would recommend my name for leadership training program at the county where I work. The HR department at the county has like an annual or semi-annual leadership planning course. My manager, who was also in that career development meeting, said that, in the early years, he always submitted my name to be part of it, but I never got called for it. And now that my engineering administrator knows that I'm looking to build my leadership skills, the next time the course is available, she will also put my name in as a potential person for the course. Also, I told you about a month ago that, now that the planning administrator is gone, we wondered whether or not they were going to hire someone else into that position, or was the engineering administrator going to inherit that person's responsibilities? Turns out she inherited his responsibilities. That position was not brought back. I personally think the man had, failed upwards. The position was used to train him for his current position as city administrator for one of the local small cities inside the county. It is what it is. And then, of course, something interesting happened today. Today I started my day training on driving on a bus. Got to drive on a highway for the first time. People cut in front of buses, for which I was driving one today. And, I don't really mind too much the cutting in front. What I mind is cutting in front so close that if I needed to stop, well, whoever cut in front of me would have, can get hurt or die. Anyone who's driving, I understand cutting in front of large commercial vehicles, but you should at least give yourself a gap before you do it. At least that's what I learned while driving a bus today. After doing my early morning bus operator training, I had to go to a transit board meeting today. At my transit board meeting, it started with the Pledge of Allegiance. Apparently, a board member requested the meeting be started this way. I stood up, but I didn't put my hand over my heart. At the end of the meeting, I inquired to the transit secretary which board member asked that the meeting start with the Pledge of Allegiance, because I've been in my position for almost 10, 11 years, and not once have we had to say the Pledge of Allegiance. And I don't get every board meeting, because on some of the board meeting days, I'm usually work from home, so I don't worry about going to meetings on my work from home days. And this is my first meeting in, I think, 2, maybe 3 months. And I come to find out that they started doing a Pledge of Allegiance because of this one board member who's not, probably one of the older members, but definitely new to the board within the last half year to a year, and is a retired truck driver. And apparently this man thought, with all the things that happened in the transit agency, that it was really, really important to sing the Pledge of Allegiance. I'm thinking next time I'm just going to, sit my butt down and ignore that, like I used to do when I was younger. With that, I'll mute my line.
Oh, Lord. I have nightmares of the Opalaka 3 all over again. Have another privileged black male public servant who's going to be unpatriotic and, oh, God, that no-count retired firefighter. Ooh. I was going to ask, why are they doing the Pledge of it? Seriously, if they had, if they had made it a condition, to get on the plane to leave Wisconsin, all boarding passengers will have to recite the Pledge of Allegiance. Ooh, I really would have had to, I hope I'm not first in line, because I'm going to need 30 seconds to pull this up on my phone right quick to see, what is it? To the Republic, one nation, under God? Let me look at that might be enough. You don't even know it. Oh, yep, that's just what I thought. That's just what I thought. Wait a minute. I didn't even get to whether I'm going to say it or not. I need to make sure I don't even know the words because I don't even remember, like, if they said, when was the last time you said the Pledge of Allegiance? Like, I really do not know. Like, I just can't think of an environment where I was just in court for 2 weeks. I don't remember anybody. You have to swear to tell the truth. They do not make you pledge allegiance to the flag. Like, I'm at a loss. Like, what? Why are we, what? And then what are the work? Can we get they got the bouncing ball with the lyrics. Can we get the lyrics of what that is? Because I really have not said this in like forever. And then we can get to the yes. Why are we doing this? And what? Like, woo, woo. So he tells us the new board member, older white fella, and he said with everything that's going on in the transit agency, like, what? What is going on in the transit agency that the problem or the solution is recite Pledge of Allegiance? What? My head hurts. Wee, man. This is already like The Office Contagion. Potential rapist. Now you're not going to stand and recite the Pledge of Allegiance in South Carolina. Could be repercussions. I don't know. Retired firefighter Opalaka 3. See, 9/11. They said, what? Stand for what? Do what? Oh man. Let's see. He said I was interested in him doing the bus training because they said, he could get real transit experience, and so he's out, got his CDL and is trained and all the rest of it. Like, wow. So he's telling us about driving the bus now, and people cut you off driving the bus. I do not think I could be quite that reckless. I've been told I do some reckless things, but like cutting a bus off, like, woo, that seems a little playing with your life type of a thing. So I will certainly second that. Do not cut off buses. Do not cut off buses. Even if it's a Negro male operator, do not cut off buses. Let's see. I remember him telling us before our hiatus about, I believe, black female. She left the position, and so we were going to see, are they going to rehire or what do they do? And he says, I believe it's a white dude. He fails upwards. He's just going to inherit, and there we go. Now that would be another one where I say, hey, I'm correct, if this was a white person who indeed did fail upwards, what does it mean to be white? How many black people, male or female, transgender, whatever else, how many black people do you know fail upward? Doesn't even seem that they're very competent at the job, and then they end up with a better job. Like, whoa. How many black people you can say that, yep, their path, their workplace journey of success, they failed upward. Not really. The standard tacky thing I just said that they say for us is you have to work twice as hard to get half as far. Not, you can just fail your way right on to success. Anyway, let's see. They denied him the raise. Not surprising, because they generally deny people that are classified as black things that are constructive. I just found that curious because it seems like, now we have had a month off, so my memory could be bad. It seems like non-Clemson dad has given us an impressive resume of additions where he's gone and got certifications, and he's driving a flipping bus. I mean, Jesus Christ, for initiative, and I'm going to go and get even more information, experience to better help me do this job. and understand all the different components of this job, serving the public. Wow. Certifications and all of that. I thought a really impressive record over the last 18 months or so, I'll say, maybe 2 years of, additions and going out and adding on to his impressive skill set already. I'm not just going to rest on my, valedictorian laurels. I'm adding on. I'm driving a flipping bus. No. Now, that's what I mean now. Does it sound like he failed upwards to a raise? Anyway, keep asking. Keep asking. Well earned, I think. Do you think if you were a white dude or a white female or white, if you were a white disabled person, do you think you maybe would have got that raise, or would it have been the same, just, hey, budget is tight and Elon kind of got everybody frazzled and it's just not the best time for a raise? Do you think it really wouldn't have mattered even if you were classified as white?
Your question is beyond reasonable. So aside from the fact that they have now hired on the new white male director, it turns out that one of the managers, the zoning administrator, before the new director even started, was promoted to deputy planner. I'm sorry, not deputy planner, deputy planning director. Now, there was no deputy planning director since I've been there 10 plus years. I asked my former fired black female director, did she have a deputy? And she said the answer was no. Aside from that, the white male who was the planning administrator that fired her, when I was working on a referendum for a sales tax hike for resurfacing county roads, I was the person that was responsible for mapping all 1,600 projects. And at the time, the planning administrator did not feel I can do the job. And at the time, my director, she defended me saying that I could do the job. And eventually he admitted to her that he was absolutely wrong about me in my capabilities and came to rely on me greatly. So yes, if I was a white male, paraplegic, disabled, transgender person with the amount of work that I put in, considering the fact that administrator that's got promoted from zoning administrator to deputy planning director, shoot, I might be an administrator by now myself.
Facts. And no one would care that you did not graduate from Clemson. Man. Anyway, and I will just add once again, I think this is a painful illustration. I've said it so many times. It can be that word they use, demoralizing. The system of white supremacy, nothing is more demoralizing than that, period. But in the workplace, I think it is so important. You can be brilliant. I'm not saying every single black person is brilliant. Gusty clearly does not qualify. But non-Clemson dad, valedictorian, brilliant. You go into a workplace and they say, oh my God, look at it. He went valedictorian. I dropped out of high school. Oh my God. Like, oh man. Do not think it's going to be you are super valued and, oh, we just adore you and you are the best and you are going to be a cornerstone of this organization. And, oh my, like Mark Zuckerberg said, oh my God, we need you and we got $100 million offer for the system of white supremacy. What? He just said, the white fella looked at him and said, this unqualified Negro, he can't do nothing. Like, what? What are you talking about? Like, are you serious? Well, yeah, I guess I was wrong. I've come to rely on him greatly, begrudgingly. I've come to rely on him greatly. That is so tacky and standard in the system of white. What did you expect, man? I'm a valedictorian. Jesus, man. He said they made up the... They didn't even have no deputy planning director. They didn't even have that. So just make up positions for... They would have made up a position for non-Clemson dad. Probably made up a director position. Everything. Salary, all that. I think it is important. That's a part of not being demoralized, to expect that if you are brilliant, like you look at your resume, wow, look at all the things I've accomplished, and still adding on to it. I'm going to need another piece of paper. Uh-oh. That same thing with Obama. Doesn't matter what you think about him. He got a historic number of death threats. I haven't even heard that about Trump. Look how many white people he fired. Obesers got a historic number of death threats. That's about what you can be thinking or expecting if you're a competent black person in your workplace, like Target. In fact, duck. Meaning keep your head down. Anyway, let's see. Doesn't get a raise, continue to ask. Is screen, man, I lost it. Look how long we've been here doing neutralizing workplace racism. All these years passed. Way back in the archives, all those years ago. I don't even think he was non-Clemson dad at the time. At that time, he was just non-Clemson grad. 00 Dimples wasn't even here. She wasn't even a thought at the time. He said, man, my computer would be crashing, and I'm working and doing lengthy assignments. I didn't put in all this time in it because I'm not no shiftless nigger. I didn't put in all this time and energy, and the computer crash, and I got to go and start over. Mama C, what are you doing? She wasn't even Mama C at the time because 00 Dimples wasn't here. What are you doing? We're trying to get dinner. My computer crashed. I got more to work on. I think he can correct me if my memory is bad. They got a black person in the IT department. He came in with a chuckle. Said, man, they haven't updated this computer since Bush was in the White House. Dang. Have you had computer crashes and it's running slow and problems? Yep. They haven't updated your computer since Bush was in the White House. And then he went and updated the computer with a chuckle. I think that's how it went. It's in the archives. I can go back and refresh but that's basically the gist of it. Again. Why do we have an IT department if my computer consistently doesn't get updated? You can tell me, am I supposed to do the updates and manage my device? If there is not my device, am I supposed to do the updates and manage your device? You can just let me know if that's true. I might need additional training, right? Because I didn't go to school for computer technology. And it would be the same question I said to start. Why do we have an IT department if it's my responsibility to do all this? Do I have to do the repairs too? Because that's more training. Maybe even another raise. And why do we have an IT department if I have to do all this? Come on. Saying maybe everybody who works on a computer that's not yours in the workplace, ooh-wee. Do you have those problems? Does your computer crash? Is it slow? Are you working on assignments and wait a minute. Hey, it's frozen. Why is it not? Oh man, I got to restart. Oh man, I lost the whole day's worth of work. Is that you? No, that's not you. That is the system of white supremacy racism. Again, we just not going to update that nigger's computer. Uppity nigger come in here think he going to do something. You not going to do nothing on that device. That's the refined white supremacy racism. Now we just mess up your computer, and who did? We didn't do nothing. What you talking about? Let's see. Oh, and the last, he said they have a hard time reading him after they wouldn't give him a raise, and then we decided to go another direction in the hiring. We have a difficult time reading you. Huh? I don't know. You might blow up the place or cough on us. I don't know. We just I don't even know what that means. Like, what? What? You have even that's one of them metaphors, right? Because I'm not a book, so what? We got to know more about our niggers. Yeah, we got questions. Yeah. But we're not giving you no nickels. We don't have no questions about that, boy. Non-Clemson dad, much obliged. Marketing operations for Double O Dimples. Love it. Shout to Mama C. They were just talking about that this week, saying parenting, not that non-Clemson dad certainly participates in the parenting, but they were talking about how parenting in general should be valued as a job. They were talking about that as a means of countering the birth dearth, if that means like payments to moms or parents or whatever. But they were talking about that this week, white genetic annihilation. Let's see. Folks who dialed in that we missed totally. Let's see. Our caller at the courthouse should be with us as well. I'll give out the number again. 720-716-7300. The code 564-943#. Press star 61 if you would like to participate. The email untiljustice@gmail.com. Let us know if you, again, maybe, might even be that folks have commentary piled up from the last month since we've not been on for Neutralizing Workplace Racism specifically. But if you have triumphs, difficulties, let us know. We will do our best with counter-racist logic. Let's see. Our caller at the courthouse should be with us as well. Let's see. I'll look out for other folks if they have a hand up.
Yes, sir. May I be heard?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. Thank you very much, sir. Greetings to Gus, the host, the listeners, and callers. Welcome back, Gus. I've been having definitely some reports I'd like to share with everyone. Many of them have been observations from the public. Like, for instance, there was a white couple that I suspect was practicing racism because there was a non-white Asian, I guess that's what they would check off on the application for the marriage license. So instructed them to go sit in the seats in front of the office where they would do the marriage license session. Then a white couple comes in after that, and it's only just these two couples in there at the time. So a white man came in and was saying, oh, we're here to return our marriage license, or, we have an appointment at 12 o'clock noon. So I was like, okay, give the coordinator just a moment and she'll be right with you. And there's usually a lot of that kind of repetition when I'm speaking to the public. So this white couple comes in and they're just standing at the computers. I'm like, all these empty seats. Internally, I'm thinking that. So I say to the couple, I say, well, y'all can go ahead and sit down over there near where the sessions are, so you'll be ready for when the coordinator calls you in. And the white woman says, oh no, it'll be just fine, it'll be okay. So they continue to be seated by where the computers are, which is far away from the seats where the Asian couple is. So they get called in by the black female, who is the marriage license coordinator. Not even 10 seconds after that, the white couple goes to sit down in the chairs that I said that they can already sit at. That was after the non-white people got up and went into the office. So I said, let me pull out the notepad and just say and jot that down. I didn't even really know of these people, but I think that was practicing racism from the white couple. My next report I like to share is there was a non-white person who was supposed to start about 2 weeks ago because the black female, and Gus, if you remember in the past, where I had to, in the middle of the meeting, say, hey, you forgot this person started working here last month. You didn't, she hadn't been introduced, but they introduced all of these white people. So she worked there for 7 years, so she had left recently. And this non-white person, who I think they were going to utilize her, I guess, being bilingual, that's the word they use, to speak to people who speak Spanish that come in for passports, marriage license, and things like that. The white woman, suspected racist, comes in and says to us, it was on a Tuesday morning about a week or so ago, well, the new person who we were going to come to the department this morning, she just called in and said that she's not going to show up and she's having an emergency, an emergency with her child or something of that nature. But I just think that maybe she just got word or something about the culture, I guess, of the workplace at the courthouse, in my opinion. But yeah, they were going to have her do all of these different things, it sounded like, when they had this meeting. So they were going to pile up, I guess that's what we can call it, pile up or stack up work onto her. And there was an email that went out, and it had this black male on there where they took a full in-color picture of this person and sent it to all of the employees. Now, this is the HR woman, white woman, and she was saying, well, this morning, a few of our employees were approached. They didn't even say that this person committed a crime or anything like that. They said, if you happen to see this person, just go and tell one of the deputies, and just let the deputies know immediately. And I never heard any update from that ever again. And one last thing I like to share was the photo, the passport photo thing. Is it was an interesting experiment I used where at first it was a little black girl that came in, and the lead worker person in the segregated area where I'm at, the black female victim was taking pictures of the young child and was kind of trying to make her smile more and more. And it was to the point to where the mother didn't have an issue with one of the many photos she took of the child, a black child, and she kind of just asked me to try to help take a good picture of the child. And I looked at one of the photos she printed out, and she says, "No, I just think we should take another one." And because she wants to smile. And I was like, but this looks like this meets the criteria. It's not like the child wasn't smiling or anything. She was just doing like a closed mouth smile. And then they ended up using that photo. So a white child, the very next day, came in, and I said what I usually say, you're able to smile if you like. And the child did do a subtle type smile, and then didn't do any kind of smile at all. So I showed the very same person, the manager, what do you think of this child's photo, which was a white child? And she didn't say all of the things she said about the little black girl. So she just said, well, her hair is just in the way of her eyebrows. So, and I was like, oh, okay. So she ended up having to take a picture based on that. But other than that, if I could add one last thing, the graduation photos, that was an act of racism that I think they practiced in the recent newsletter. And they had the only black person and her child, her son, at the very end, and they only just had a sentence, but everybody else graduation photos and everything had these paragraphs and stuff. But the only black person was at the end. So I'm like, man, And I just thought of just one more, Gus, about the Juneteenth. I don't know if anybody mentioned that. Everybody was trying to say that. They were surprised. It was a white person called up to the courthouse and said, "Hey, man, I'm just so surprised that y'all are open to that." And I told him, I said, "I'm not surprised," and he didn't say anything. Like he just went quiet like that. I said that, and we got on the elevator in the morning, and the white person didn't want to get on the elevator. Then the black co-worker, she says, "Oh, I guess she doesn't want to ride with us." The other black person, the supervisor, says, "Oh, well, don't worry about it. It's Juneteenth." So I was like, man, what exactly that's supposed to mean? But other than that, I do want to add to the drink more water too. I really wanted to say that because it's really been hot down here. And other than that, thanks, Gus. That's all I have to share. Thanks for allowing me to speak.
Drink more water. Drink more water. Had me a swallow as he was sharing. Drink more water. Wow, much obliged, our caller at the courthouse. We did miss, or at least we're not broadcasting. I flew out of Milwaukee on Juneteenth, and that was planned. I flew into Milwaukee on Memorial Day. Courthouse was closed, and the trial started that Tuesday, the next day. And I flew out of Milwaukee on Juneteenth, and I thought of it as an escape, which it was. But yes, we did miss Juneteenth, and the airport was open. I do remember now, lots of things were closed in Milwaukee for Juneteenth. And specifically, they said, like, I was at the University of Wisconsin, Milwaukee library, and the campus in general was closed for Juneteenth. The Milwaukee Main Library, these are places I was going for like research and such, closed. I have to go back to see if the museums were open or not, but there were lots of main facilities were closed throughout the city of Milwaukee for Juneteenth. I think the courthouse was closed for Juneteenth too. I would have to go back to look to be extra for certain, but I think the courthouse was closed for Juneteenth in Milwaukee. They had the tacky, I took pictures because they had the tacky pride flag up at City Hall, And that was up for the whole month. That's still up now. And then they had the Juneteenth flag up beneath the pride flag. I think the pride flag might have even been atop the whole flag for the city of Milwaukee. I have to look at my picture to be for sure about that. But I know the pride flag was above the Juneteenth flag. Anyway, but I think City Hall was closed. Not City Hall. The Milwaukee County Courthouse, I think, was closed for Juneteenth in Milwaukee. I will see if I can confirm before we go off. So he talked about the so-called Asian people were seated in the courthouse area. They're waiting for, whatever, documents, photo, whatever. And then this white couple, they come in. And he's like, oh, hey, we got, plenty of seats. Go ahead, take a load off. I know it's hot out there. Get a little water, and we'll get to you as soon as we can. And they look over and they go, we got, we'll just stand. We'll stand. And he says, he just looks like, okay. And then they call the non-white couple. Oh, we'll see you now. We're coming in. Boom, boom, boom. And they walk in, and he says, as soon as the non-white people exit, let's go grab a sit down. Let's go grab a sit down. That's interesting. Now, I don't know the proximity of the chairs and all that, and I know some folks might say, hey, man, you don't just sit there and try and imply that these were some racist old white people down in Florida. We got the Rona, man. They're older, too. So, see, maybe they had concerns about their respiratory health, and I'm gonna say negative. Hey, these might be the very folks from Wuhan who started all this. So no, I don't want. My lungs too important, and I just don't do no sitting around, folks. They could have been two white people sitting over there, and I just don't do no whole lot of sitting. I don't know how close the chairs were. It might have been where they couldn't. The non-white people were sitting on this side of the room, and we'll get chairs on this side of the room. Maybe if that wasn't possible, we had to be seated real, elbow to elbow type thing, and I don't trust that. And they look, that's Wuhan's cousin. I don't know, but it ain't got nothing to do with racism. I got health concerns, and I don't like what they social distancing. See, we practice social distancing, and we just don't do no sitting. What would your retort be if someone shared that?
I would just say that they had plenty of seats. This even if it wasn't like directly close to the other couple, and it was just plenty of empty seats that they wanted to sit a little further away from them. And it was just so quick the way that they did that. When the non-white couple got up and walked into the office, it was, and then even with that, the seats are right next to the office, so they would have still kind of been closer, or just as close to the non-white couple next to the office. And it clearly was just only the non-white couple sitting. So it was two people in two seats, and it's about 10 chairs. So I'm like, they didn't even have no witnesses with them or anything. And for them to get up and go sit right in those same seats, I'm thinking, and just with the understanding that I have, I thought they would be practicing racism.
Much obliged. It was about 10 chairs, so I guess they could have picked chairs that were not elbow to elbow next to these folks and still got a seat and still been socially distanced, but we'd rather have them leave all the way. Like, get on out of here. Dang. Okay. Let's see. So then he reminded us, I do remember the meeting. They were going to do the introductions and sometimes reintroductions of white people that we already know and been hanging out. And then you got black people that are total strangers, brand new here, and we ignore them totally. He says, whoa, you forgot Lakeisha. And hi, Lakeisha, let's go. And so they go out there, they mad at both of y'all. So now, we roll forward. Lakeisha, she's going to come in and work at the courthouse. Now, that's why I say we need to get that term back that the caller mentioned to begin with. Apparently, she's going to come in, and they have piled all this work up that they want her to do, probably from these shiftless white people, part of the clique or what have you, not doing their response. Same thing I said before. They say you got to work twice as hard to get half as far, and you got all these white people who are shiftless and no count and doing nothing, and apparently so many of them that we got to hire a whole black person just to come in and compensate for all these lazy white people. Apparently, she catches wind of this, like, what? What? They're just going to overload me with all this work that these white people do? I'm good. I'm good. These the same rude white people that couldn't even introduce me properly to the team, and now I'm going to come in and do all their work that they were too lazy to? I'm good. I'm good. I'm good. That is logical to me. You just come in and overload me and give me all this nonsense work and the disrespect that you've already shown to start with. I'm going to see if I can find something. So, and he's even said, it's been a number of white people. I think he told us it was a white woman. One of her friends worked there. They got her a job, cronyism. She got the job. She worked one day and quit. And we said, dang, now what type of, what is that saying about the work environment? Like, I come in and one day is all I need. Like, nah. This is not for me. I'm a white woman. I can get something better. I think we even said, like, dang, I'm not even going to mess over none of my friends and tell them to come work here. I've been lost all my friends messing around with you. Am I lying? Did that happen, sir?
Yes, sir. That did happen. And then after that, that's when I heard about another white woman getting on Zoom and doing an interview where she was getting her toes done. If you remember that one, Gus.
Cronyism, absolutely. That shows how serious we take the job as well. And that work twice as hard to get half as far. She's at the at the salon getting a pedicure for the interview while we're working twice as hard. That sort of thing. So the black female, she doesn't take the job, thankfully. They send out an email with a black dude, full color picture. They sent it to everybody at the courthouse. Leroy approached several workers this morning. If you see Leroy, contact security immediately, if not soon. Wow. Black male privilege. I'm pretty sure that they have white people, fell off the Tebow bandwagon a long time ago, and they're out begging quarters and doing drugs or whatever they do out in the North Florida area, because he said they got the patrol people. I remember he sent me the picture. There's a lot of black dudes on that, but they go out and patrol, and, hey, Leroy, you can't sleep here. Get off that bench. That sort of thing. What the world? We got to do all this because one black person, you got spare quarter? Get a cup of coffee? Anything? Sure it's hot out here. Bottle of water? Oh, Lord. We got to call in TSA. Where is Homeland Security at? Leroy is a muck. Oh, my Lord. They might even come in and get him. Look here. Some of the white women are leaving. Do you think you could escort them to their vehicles next couple days? Leroy is, Leroy. Come on. And I remember they had white people come in the courthouse. This is not molesting people outside. They were coming in the courthouse causing mischief, and I don't think they did all this. Full color image. This is what she looks like. Peggy comes in here. She causes mischief and trespasses, and she'll get in your face and constitutional dead boy. You better be on your. I don't remember them doing all this. When them folks are running wild in the courthouse, white people were running wild all over the courthouse. I don't remember them sending out no full color wanted photos of, who you need to be. Come on. Let's see. The smile, now that was fascinating because that's another one we've been on for so many years. where he's told us frequently these passport photos and how the language that gets used, if it's a black person and they don't want to smile, oh my God, you look like a little criminal. This isn't a mugshot. What's going on? You know, that sort of thing, where it's just fascinating to see how people respond, what gets said, the children especially, because you got to do passports for these little young children sometimes as well. So him experimenting again, he tells us this time just paying attention to what gets said. So, okay, we get black child, come in, we do the photos, boom, boom, and all this about the smiling. What does that communicate to you, the emphasis on black? It sounds black children exclusively, because you said when the little white child, there was nothing about smiling or not smiling. It was, well, the hair is in the way. Now we're just getting very technical, like, you know, the faces can't be obscured. We got to be able to see, identify the person. Like, oh, okay, now we're just technical. Now we're not talking about smiling, scowling, none of that. Just make sure the hair's not in the face. Got it. What is the significance of, for black children exclusively, it's mandatory, you got to smile? Why is that significant?
I just think that it's from a black coworker. Well, it was two black coworkers. It's one of the black coworker, she's resigned. She's working somewhere else, and now this one is what they call a lead worker. And she just kept saying, like, don't you want to smile? And you can smile if you want to. Like, it's optional. Like, they tell us it's optional. So I just kept hearing her say this to the child. And then when I got up there, the child was doing this exaggerated. I call it exaggerated, because she was cheesing, and we was trying to straighten up everything, like the background, to try to take a more accurate picture. And she just kept telling the child to smile so much, the black girl. And the black female printed out this photo, and it looked like it met the criteria. It was a nice photo to me. And she just, I guess, was just sharing her personal feelings toward it, I guess, if I could phrase it that way, instead of just going and aligning with the policy. That the picture, it fit, like it fit in the frame of how the machine was going to print the photo out. The smile was just, it was normal, it was standard. And the mother, the parent, thought the photo was nice too, and I said the photo was nice, and she just disagreed and wanted to take more photos. And she said one photo was too dark or something like that, and then another photo it came out better, I guess, if I could say that. But it was really critical on the smile part. Like, it was just something on her personal view of the child. But the next day I was like, this child not smiling at all. I mean, no kind of smile, no showing teeth, or no kind of smile, period. And then she looked at the little white girl, and she just pointed at her hair, like, oh, well, you might want to take this picture again. It's covering the eyebrow, so they might not take it. They may say something. And I had to take that picture again of the young white girl, and the white girl, black girl, looked like they were around the same age. And then a black guy, once again, came in, an older guy, and she said the same thing to him. And I just look at the photograph, and it's just a person that's just got a regular expression, relaxed. But when it's somebody black, she does that. I think that's a pattern, where she'll try to get them to smile. Well, come over here and take a look at this. And even the guy was like, oh, you know what, I should try and take that again. But when it's white people, she don't seem to really go into detail like that. But yeah, that's been an observation, is the passport photos and the comparisons.
Fascinating. Fuller say, hey, long time it's been said, a grumpy slave is dangerous. So, yeah, they learn them young. Smile, you better smile wide and exaggerated. Like if you're white, you can be glum, straight-faced in your passport photo, but you had better be snickering and like Kevin Hart and Cat Williams just said the funniest thing ever right before they got ready to snap my passport photo, and I'm just, woo, I'm about to bust a rib. Come on. He said exaggerated. It's like, come on. Just something to be observant, because I've heard lots of folks, even some of the nicknames, Smiley for black people. Like, what? Why I gotta be? Anyway, he said they got the graduation photos in the newsletter. Always love the newsletter at the courthouse. And he said that they have like little short paragraphs for the white children, like right on, grad, University, Florida Gators, class of 2029, right on, gonna be an alumnus with Tim Tebow. They write all their best wishes, what have you. He said they had a black person, their son was on the back page, back of the bus, bottom of the boat. They did not get a paragraph. They got one sentence. Leroy, watch out. Well, at least they were truthful and put it on the back. I love the news. Like, what are they talking about? Crows? They give them time to put a poem in about you done burned down the microwave with your sweet potatoes. Like, whoa. I love the newsletter. Like, matter of fact, they could have put Leroy's picture in there. Said, this might have been the fella that was bumming quarters out front to keep a watch. Just keep an eye out. This one as well. Now we got two. Look out. Like, man, woo, that's your black male privilege in North Florida. Graduate from high school, you get one sentence. And then you stand out. That could have been a black fella asking for directions out in front of the court. Excuse me, ma'am, do you know where Main Street? Ma'am, I'm just trying to get to Main Street. Main? You don't know where? Okay. And they got his picture. I was just trying to get to Main Street. Like, man, I got confused. My phone battery died. I couldn't get my GPS. Like, Main Street. I was just trying to get... You were bumming quarter. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
That is amazing, because it actually is on Main Street. It's called Main Street. The courthouse where he's at, they said, where he just approached. They didn't say anything. And nothing. There was no update. It's just this huge picture, black male. He approached some of our coworkers, our employees, our staff. Just please report it if you can, and it said immediately too. So, and then that same day, somebody came in and the name Leroy was on another document. So I had to mention that too. That name came up again.
Ah, man. Keep your phone charged, I guess. I don't know. Hopefully you won't have to ask anybody for direction. I did try to avoid doing that the entire time I was in Milwaukee. I really worked to have my phones charged the whole time and to spend time in advance researching so I could kind of know where I was going so that I wouldn't have to ask people for directions and such, because that can be a gamble. You don't want they might have my picture circulated. Like, do you see this fella here, right there, circulating right there? He came up out front in the courthouse, and he just had that look about him. You see him, you call security. You gonna have me? And like, wait a minute, I'm from Seattle. I'm lost. Can you hello? Woo, man, black male privilege. don't mess around in front of the courthouse on Main Street and need a nickel, directions, nothing. Anyway, I'm not surprised that they were open for Juneteenth, but I'm gonna check. I'm gonna do that before we get it done. Make sure I didn't miss anybody, since we have, I guess, a minute or so left. If you have comments, questions, suggestions, *61. We should be here we should be here tomorrow, Friday. Return of the Catherine Massey Book Club. We've had about a good month hiatus after Abraham Bolden's book on JFK's assassination. Our new book, Greg Olson's If Loving You Is Wrong, all about Mary Kay Letourneau. I picked this book because my original vision was, while we were in Milwaukee, we were going to start the new book. I was going to pick a Seattle book because I thought I would be homesick, which I was, so I could read a book about Seattle, and that would help cope while I was in Milwaukee. The trial lasted for 2 weeks. That was 2 Fridays that we were broadcasting from the trial. And then the last 2 Fridays, we did not have the trial, but wow, it was an engrossing experience in Milwaukee to be able to have free time to do research and all of that. I was able to get through a lot for Friday and lots of the time that I was there. So, that it was, I think, correct decision, even though last Friday my intention was to do the program that I did last Saturday about what I learned. I did hope I was going to be able to do that program last Friday, but ended up I didn't even get back from Milwaukee until Friday. I was supposed to be back Thursday, so took a day to recuperate. That was that. That was also correct decision. So there's really only like one Friday technically that I could have broadcasted, and that was not the correct decision at all to broadcast all the way in Milwaukee. Hopefully the one and only time in my life. So get to it, broadcast, do as much as you can while you are there. Hopefully mission accomplished. But new book for tomorrow. Mary, still important. Man, I'll go into more detail about it tomorrow, but the great late Neely Fuller Jr., one of the first conversations, I won't say one of the first by that time, but an early conversation that I had with Neely Fuller Jr., where we discussed Area 8, where I was just beginning to grasp how much import white people place on being able to rape non-white people, even non-white children. When I was just beginning to grasp this in Seattle, I spoke with Neely Fuller Jr. He mentioned Mary Kay Letourneau. I will go into more detail about that tomorrow, but that right there is why I say study local history. So wherever you happen to be at. So most of you do not live in Seattle, so Mary Kay Letourneau is not local history for you. Whatever local history is for you, like it can't be you live in Mississippi and somebody brings up Emmett Till, Medgar Evers, and it's Fannie Lou Hamer, no, come on. Whatever local history is for you can't be in Louisiana and somebody brings up Ruby Bridges. Come on. Study low, and I've said consistently that can be a family project. If you have offspring, we go and learn together, because if you're a parent and you don't know about Ruby Bridges, well, hey, we go learn together. Who is Ruby Bridges? Can't be that we're in New Orleans and they don't have no information on her. Come on. Well, for me, Mary Kay Letourneau is local history. Gus T ain't got to get on no plane, train, bus, none of that. Jeff Dahmer and all that, yeah, you got to travel for that. Mary Kay Letourneau, oh no, that is right here. Fuller cited that as fundamental piece of information about why white people and non-white people, no sexual activity. Case number 1, Mary Kay Letourneau. Everything you could possibly want to know is right here in Seattle. And in fact, I even thought, dang, the local TV stations, maybe they will let you snoop through, the archives, because they have a lot of material on Mary Kay Letourneau here. And that is, everything you would like to know about what is incorrect. Area 8, hanky-panky, sexual activity with white people. And Fuller even made a point of saying, with Mary Kay Letourneau, they like exploiting the childlike nature of non-white people. The ingrained pedophilia right there. That's why you mentioned that case. I have to say more about that tomorrow, but we could have read this book a long time. Maybe we should have, because I've been in Seattle all this time. Like, dang. Maybe I should have been mentioning Mary Kay Letourneau much more frequently all this time. We shall read tomorrow. And this is kind of ode to Fuller, because embarrassing. Fuller was the one that Mary Kay Letourneau, man. Mary Kay Letourneau. The late. That is tomorrow, 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Pacific. Greg Olson's. I love that title, that word again. If loving you is wrong. Love. And then we should be back Saturday, compensatory call. And I forgot, uploaded both of the programs I'd mentioned. Man, through the jet lag and readjust and all of that, I had a terrible flight experience getting back through it all. Uploaded the broadcast from Whitefish Bay from last Wednesday with suspected racist author Thomas M. Jacobson. I was front row for that. You hear my questions to him about the racist covenants in White Folks Bay, Wisconsin, as well as his talk about Jeff Dahmer, Nazis, racism in general in the Milwaukee and Wisconsin area. Got that uploaded, and then I also got the facial recognition technology program or meeting that was at City Hall that I attended the same day. That's what I mean about I was so immersed. Like, what was I doing? I gave you the list on the program this past weekend, but all of that was in the same day. Whitefish Bay, meeting with the author, and then City Hall, Milwaukee Police Department acquisition of facial recognition technology in a trade for 2.5 million mugshots. Got it uploaded. I'm going to see if the video for this, because Fox 6 News was there, and it was at City Hall. It's 2000. It was on Zoom. It's 2025. Like, for something this important, I think they should have all of that. The whole meeting should be on like YouTube. It should be on local, like, public access television, looped. It should be TikTok. Like, it should be easily available. Facebook, any other platform that you can think of. It should be easily accessible so that everybody in the Milwaukee region impacted by this decision should be able to see what was said by the commissioners, police, Milwaukee police officers and representatives who were present, representatives from the Biometrica camera company, everybody else who spoke. What did they have to say about this? What, they had slides and visual presentations, like all of that should be freely available for the public to scrutinize, and maybe even the public at large, not just Milwaukee, because of the ramifications beyond. Like, if they had facial recognition technology in use, it would have impacted me because I was just there for a month. So, and if they have these sort of discussions in your region, you should attend and ask questions. If you can't go in person, They had Zoom for this, so you could listen by phone, online, whatever. Listen, they spent that entire meeting talking about racism, white supremacy, and it was mostly white people, both the panel and the audience members. But both of those programs have been uploaded. I'm so thankful that this was the day before I left, so Providence, it just perfect alignment for me to be able to attend both. But both of them are in the archives. They both happened on June 18th, so they're chronological, right? They're not the most recent programs, but they were both June 18th. Thomas M. Jacobson, that was in Whitefish Bay, and then the Milwaukee City Hall meeting about facial recognition technology cameras being used to capture, they say, stop crime, allegedly, in Milwaukee. Maybe if you get those cameras, you won't have blurry images of Negroes bumming quarters or asking directions in front of the courthouse in North Florida. It'd be bang. This is Leroy M. Johnson, born on February 12th, 1990. He's got 3 arrests. They'll have all his information, address, and everything. If you see Leroy, matter of fact, we're going to send his information to the police right now. If you see Leroy, you can let him know. We already got a warrant out for him for bumming quarters and scaring white women in general. Ooh-wee. Might be that sort of thing coming soon to your region. Anyway, we'll be here tomorrow, Catherine Massey Book Club, 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Pacific. Drink more water. Sobriety would be best. Creator, we ask that you help us remain patient with other black people. We ask that you remind us not to waste non-white people's time and energy, including our own. Remind us to invest our time and energy to replace white supremacy with justice immediately. No name-calling black people, no throwaway offspring, no gossiping, workplace and beyond. Replace white supremacy with justice immediately. Cow signing out. Thanks all for tuning in. Drink more water.
Nigga, you so brainwashed. I'm a victim, brother. No problem. You're a victim. Man, I'm a victim of 400 years of conditioning. Shut up. The man has programmed my conditioning. Even my conditioning has been conditioned.